Thank you, Mr. Gannon. Good evening, folks. Welcome to the City of Lowell Zoning Board of Appeals. Public hearing for October 12th. We're meeting today at the Arthur Hammer Conference Room at 50 Arcan Drive. Again, member of the public wishing to view the meeting can go to ltc.org, channel 6. If you wish to speak, please make sure you sign in, state your name and address for the record. Also, this meeting, you can join virtually as well by through Zoom. All right, our first item on the agenda is under continued business. We have ZBA-2023-19. The petition is a variance. The applicant is 65 Wellington LLC. 65 Wellington LLC has applied to the Lowell Zoning Board of Appeals for variance approval to subdivide the existing lot with an existing two-family home and construct a new single-family home on the newly created lot. The project is located in the traditional single-family TSF zoning district. The proposal requires variance approval for section 5.1 for relief from the minimum lot area, minimum per lot area per dwelling unit, and floor area ratio FAR requirements. For section 6.1 for relief from the minimum off-street parking requirements and any other relief required in the Lowell zoning ordinance. What the
Would you like this?
Just on this side.
anywhere on this side? Mr. Gary, good evening. Good
Good
evening.
evening.
Thank you for coming in this evening. Unfortunately, we didn't have the other room booked, so a little bit of a
Understood.
tight squeeze. Counselor, we talked about the request you're seeking tonight. So you want to just talk about your project, what you want to do. Take your time.
Yep, give me a second here.
Yeah, take your time.
Get organized.
And just for the record, we're being recorded live, audio as well.
At what point are we inviting the public into here?
The public will come out when the public hearing be open.
I don't think it's important for them to hear what's being said prior.
Okay, so 65 Wellington, if you're here for that application, you can come in.
Come on in.
So stay on this side, please. Yeah.
Folks, unfortunately, we don't have the other room, so we're talking about 65 Wellington right now. So the process, how it's going to work is the applicant is going to talk about what they're doing, and then eventually we'll open up to the public hearing. And then if folks want to speak, they can. So if folks can just please have no side conversation, turn off any devices, any phones. You'll get your opportunity to speak on an application if you're here to speak tonight. And again, everything's being recorded live for audio.
Question. Could you have gotten a smaller room?
I wish we would have got a bigger room, but this is the room we have, unfortunately. So if everyone just bears with us, please. Go ahead, Counselor.
Thank you all. Good evening to all. For the record, my name is John Geary of Geary & Geary LLP. I'm here tonight representing the applicant, 65 Wellington Ave LLC. And with me tonight, we have Jamie Herbor and Kevin Richardson, two of the principals of the LLC. We also have Brian Gaudreau of Hancock Engineering, the engineer for the project. As the chairman mentioned, this is a continued hearing relative to the applicant's request for variance pursuant to its application to split an existing lot into two lots and construct a single-family home on one of those lots. We've provided the board with a revised site plan, landscape plan, architectural plans, and a colorized streetscape of the rendering of the proposed new home. As you all know, we had the initial public hearing back in June. At that hearing, we heard some concerns from both the board and the neighbors relative to lack of off-street parking for the project, for the proposal, proximity of this home to the neighbor's home, which I believe is Mr. Allen's home, and the number of variances that we were requesting. So with those concerns in mind, the applicants met with their team. They went through a redesign of the site plan and the architectural plans, and we believe that by doing so, we alleviated some of the concerns. So in terms of the revisions, we now provide for 2 additional off-street parking spaces relative to the 2-family. So with that, we have 2 parking spaces for the single-family home. We have 4 off-street parking spaces for the 2-family home, so we meet the parking requirements associated with this application. We've also redesigned the proposed single-family home by eliminating the single-car garage. We have changed the footprint of that home from 22 by 35 to 23 by 32, so a slight change there. But by eliminating the 1-car garage and changing the footprint a little bit, we were able to shift the parking on the single-family home from the left side of the property to the right side of the property, and we actually increased the distance from the abutter, Mr. Allen's property, to this new structure from 12 feet to 18 feet. So that was a concern that we had heard at the last meeting as well. So the relief that we're requesting tonight for both lots pursuant to 5.1 is for lot area per dwelling unit. Lot area per dwelling unit, as I have said in the past, goes hand in hand. If you have a single-family lot and you don't have the lot area, you're going to need relief for lot area per dwelling unit as well. And we also are seeking relief for floor area ratio. So with regard to the floor area ratio in terms of the single-family home, that home has about 1,500 square feet of actual living space. But the City of Lowell zoning ordinance definition of floor area ratio requires that you calculate the basement space. So when you calculate the basement space, we're outside of that floor area ratio. If we were to eliminate the basement space, we would be within that space. So my point in saying that is, it's a modestly sized home for the lot. It was designed to fit the lot, and we feel it does fit the lot, despite the fact that we don't meet the floor area ratio for that particular single-family home. The applicant's also requesting relief relative to 6.1.10 for setbacks to the 2 additional parking spaces that we created off of Wellington Ave for the 2-family. I've also, at the initial meeting, I provided the board with the exhibit plan, which shows that what we are proposing, it demonstrates that what the applicant's proposing in terms of lot size is consistent with what is currently in the neighborhood. That exhibit plan shows 24 lots that are less than 5,000 square feet. Now, we understand that these lots were laid out 100 years ago, and they don't meet the existing zoning, but it does demonstrate that we are basically in compliance with what's consistent with what's in the neighborhood, I should say. It also points out that, this is a traditional single-family zoning lot, and the intent of the traditional single-family zoning lot is to promote single-family homes on modestly sized lots. We believe that we satisfy the intent of the zoning in the TSF zone without substantially derogating from the intent of this district. I'd also point out that this is a unique lot in this neighborhood. It's a corner lot. It's on the corner of Wellington Ave and Park Ave East, so it has frontage on both lots. It has a existing 2-family home with a significant slope to the yard. The relief that we are requesting can be granted without any detriment to the public good. In fact, this is critical. Creating housing is critical to the public good, considering the severe housing crisis that we face right now. So we meet the intent of the zoning, and this is a public good. We also received the updated engineering comments from the city's engineer's office, so Brian can address those in a few minutes in detail, but there was what we thought was a good suggestion on those comments. It suggested that we take down the tree on the corner of Wellington and Park Ave East. That tree is basically into the right-of-way, upheaved the existing sidewalk. So by removing that tree, we would be able to reconstruct the sidewalks along Wellington and Park Ave, and they would connect again and seamlessly. So we thought that was a good suggestion. So at this point, I'll turn the presentation over to Brian. He can go through the revisions to the plans, some of which I've discussed.
Yeah, so for the record, Brian Goodrow with Hancock Associates. So just a couple of quick points that I wanted to touch on. John did a great job describing kind of the changes to the plan from the original to our newly revised plan. The lot line did not change. It was best fit to allow for the least amount of relief, being requested for both lots. The new parking spaces are located, basically between the two lots, and those were, proposed in the location that they are so that we could create some separation from the single-family house and the two-family house. So on the landscape plan, we have proposed screening around those spaces. So while one of them falls within an easement, which is why we're asking for relief from 6.1.10, visually, it's going to be very much a part of the duplex house. So the two spaces are adjacent to the two-family. They have a small retaining wall required by the grade, obviously with the sloping lot, and then at the base of the wall, there'll be screen, just creating that definition that they are, in fact, part of the two-family. The elimination of the garage, as John indicated, allowed us to pull the proposed single-family south, away from the Allen property, which was by about 5 feet. And additionally, on the landscape plan, we've maintained the 3 proposed shade trees, and we increased the landscaping adjacent to the Allen property between the 2 driveways. So basically, there's an existing garage and a driveway on Mr. Allen's property, and then we have our driveway adjacent to that, and there'll be a screening in between the 2. One thing to note, during our kind of team call today, we did not call attention to the drywalls that are being proposed. So the new single-family house will have drywalls. The roof will be guttered, downspouts, to help mitigate any runoff potential. So with what we had requested on the landscape plan being subject to DPD approval, we'll make sure that those are on that final landscape plan. We would agree with city engineer's comments about the proposed elimination of the street on Park Avenue East that's within the sidewalk and the repairing of it. We think that would be a good thing to add to the construction, and I think those are really the general modifications that we made.
Yeah,
So with
so,
that-
thanks, Brian. So we believe we've addressed a lot of the concerns that we heard. We understand that there's a lot of opposition here and that the neighbors don't want to see a single-family home here. We believe we meet the requirements of the variance. My clients had a meet and greet at the house. Any neighbors that were interested in coming by and discussing what was going on, about half a dozen showed up. I reached out to Mr. Allen a couple of times. I talked to him once, so he had the plans for quite some time now. But ultimately, when this is all said and done, if approved, it will be a complete rehab of the existing 2-family home, new construction of the single-family home, which will provide 3 new condition, entry-level priced units for the city of Lowell for current residents or new residents to the city of Lowell. That aligns with the city's master plan and Lowell and Sustainable Lowell 2025 by providing new housing to the city. So with that, I'll turn it back to the board. We're happy to answer any questions or address any concerns. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Gary. All right, folks, now we're gonna open up the hearing to the public. Again, if people are speaking, please just state your name and address for the record. So we'll open the hearing to the public. Anyone who wishes to speak in opposition?
Yeah.
Please raise your hand and wait to be called on. We'll do it that way.
I would assume that they could sit here because there's good extra seats, and he's sitting there. Couldn't they
You
come
can-
here and sit? The one that wants to speak, so they can be better heard around the table, and have some extra chairs here.
The microphone is there, so I think the closer you can get to the microphone, the better.
Well, maybe Mr. Gary will be willing to move over here, but
It doesn't
let the other
matter.
one speak.
All right, I know this is like a tough situation. We'll just try our best. Everyone just speak up and please just be respectful. Just, we'll get through this. Go ahead, ma'am. Did you want
My
to?
name is Elizabeth Gallagher. I rent 99 Belrose from Kim and Craig Kerner, who also live in the neighborhood. As you can see, I have my kids here with me tonight. A little bit of a civics lesson, but also a lesson in kind of knowing when to speak up, when to say enough is enough in overcrowding in Lowell. I get that we need to add more affordable housing, but do we really think this is going to be affordable housing? Is there any such thing as affordable housing? especially in the city. I understand that it's very close to John's property line, and when I back out of my driveway, all the work vans that have been there are right up against where we back out. So I have a new driver who's learning how to drive, so park at your own risk, I guess. And I haven't had the opportunity to come to the previous meetings, but I think this is a serious downgrade in the neighborhood of where we live, and my kids are playing outside every day. We play in the middle of the street. We ride bikes in the middle of the street. I know that's not with helmets on, but this is, I picked this neighborhood on purpose, and I didn't pick it for development.
All right, thank you, ma'am. Anyone else wishing to speak in opposition to this? Yeah, go ahead, sir.
Is it possible that you could continue this meeting until after the city council takes up the ADU situation? They're confused. There's a meeting next Saturday, this coming Saturday, to discuss parts of the ADU. And I'm sure it's gonna have a bearing on the city council vote a week, next Tuesday. Now, this might affect this whole situation, especially the butters. Once if this were to be approved now, Mr. Allen might not be able to, if the ADUs were to pass, Mr. Allen probably could be prevented from using his garage as an apartment. I think you should consider putting this off until the city council votes on the ADUs.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thanks for your comments, sir. Anyone else wish to speak in opposition? Yeah, go ahead, sir.
Good evening, Mr. Chairman, members of the board. My name is Robert Hunt. I live at 48 Florence Avenue in Lowell. I do not live in the neighborhood, but I do support these neighbors that have come tonight to oppose the variance for 65 Wellington Street. This is a 10,388 square foot lot that is being split into two undersized lots. And there is a lack of adequate parking for the project. The floor area ratio is nowhere near where it should be. And when I look around and I see this many neighbors opposed to this, I have to say, you know, what's going on? You have to really take this into consideration. This is one of the other meetings where I've been, we talk about housing, affordable housing. This is not going to be affordable housing. This is going to be to add to housing stock, but really do nothing for affordable housing. So I believe that a project like this triggers in my mind the failure of the intent of zoning by taking away or denigrating for the intent of zoning in this particular neighborhood. I think that it really degrades the neighborhood. When I look at the parcels size, that and how close they are together and where they were before, with all the other variances and dry wells and everything like that, I just think it's really it shouldn't be done in the neighborhood. And the neighbors are here to say that. And I hope you take this into consideration tonight, because a lot of people took a lot of time. This room's going to get awful hot by the time everybody's done speaking. And, you know, I just hope that you take that into consideration. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Anyone else? Go ahead, sir.
My name is John Allen. I am a butter at 95 Bell Road. Virginia and Mark from, they live across the street from 65 Wellington, couldn't be here, but they asked me to deliver this to be read.
Yeah.
And I also have a petition that we've gone around and got some signatures for. And then I'd like to speak.
Yeah, go ahead, sir.
So I've been reading the zoning book all summer. I didn't expect it, but I'm doing it, and I thought it was pretty good. I mean, the first paragraph of it says, the purpose of this book is to promote the health, safety, convenience, morals, and general welfare of the city, to encourage the most appropriate use of land in the city, to prevent overcrowding of the land, to conserve the value of the land and residences, to lessen congestion in the streets, to avoid undue concentration of population, to provide adequate light and air, to facilitate adequate provisions for transportation, water, sewage, schools, parks, and other public requirements.
I think that pretty much just says it right there. It says it right there in the first paragraph of the zoning book. Over congestion, crowding of the streets. This house, I don't even know how this got to a meeting. It's right there. And then section 11.2.3, variance prerequisites. Variance ordinances would have to involve substantial hardship to the petitioner. I haven't heard any hardship, never mind substantial hardship, but it gets better. And then it has to also have no substantial detriment to public good. If it didn't have any detriment to public good, I don't think we would have this many people in this room right now. Not even close. There's a reason why we're all here. We see through it. And quite frankly, yeah, there are other 5,000 square foot lots that a single family is on, but there is not one two-family in this neighborhood on a 5,000 square foot lot. There are no parking easements in this neighborhood. None of that. So we're going from my two-family, my garage, 65 Wellington's garage, another two-family. Now we're gonna squeeze a driveway in between us, a single-family home, another driveway. So we just depleted all of the water absorption in that green space. And I know that I live on a hill. I expect to have issues with water. I knew that when I bought the house. I didn't expect someone that could, you know, build a home 12 feet, 18 feet from me. This house is 30 feet tall. I don't need shade trees. I'm gonna have plenty of shade. Plenty of shade. There are parts of my property and my home that will never see the sunlight again with a 30-foot house next to me. So that's pretty much all I have to say. I hope we can make a decision on this tonight. I just want a good night's sleep. It's been a long time. And, thank you for listening to me, and, I hope you guys can, make the right decision in my eyes. Thank you.
Thank you, John.
Thank you, sir. Anyone wants to say something else? Yeah, go ahead. Yeah.
So my name is Emily Gertenbach. I live at 124 Park Avenue East with my husband, Alan Kephart. Since my husband and I moved into our house last November, we have felt nothing but welcome in the neighborhood. It's been truly wonderful. All of my neighbors have been so welcoming. It was actually this past Saturday at the event hosted by the developers that I felt unwelcome in my neighborhood for the first time. I attended the meet and greet that they advertised by sending us the flyers in the mail. I came in with an open mind, best intentions. I was happy to hear that they were indeed doing a meet and greet. Only had about 2 days notice, but I made sure that I at least could be there. During that meeting, we went over a few different points, and I want to summarize a few takeaways I had for the board tonight. So first off, I personally am not opposed to more housing in Lowell. I know there's a housing crisis and we need more housing. I have a lot of ideas on ways that could happen. One of them is not sticking an almost 1,600 square foot home into a lot that already has 2 single family homes on it. You know, and during our meeting on Saturday, the developers talked a lot about how a young family, to use their words, could move into this home. And that is true. Hypothetically, a young family could move into this proposed home. But I'm actually more concerned with the existing young family and existing families that are going to be impacted by this bill, rather than a young family that may or may not be able to afford this house, because given the current state of the housing market, this house is, based on its square footage, not going to be what most would consider to fall under the definition of affordable housing for Lowell. Second, to go off of what Mr. Allen said regarding runoff, I had asked the developers at our meeting some questions about groundwater absorption. At the time, their realtor had said he wasn't sure if any of us could really speak to that, so I did a little reading. Now, I am happy to hear that they are planning to put gutters and drain spouts on there. That, of course, will help with water hitting the house. But we're taking away a permeable piece of ground on a considerable slope that is abutting an older home. You know, and according to the National Resource Development Council, the average city block generates about 5 times more runoff than a wooded area. Now, obviously, the block isn't wooded. I'm aware of that. And adding one house, you know, there's already a lot of houses there. But when also according to NRDC, when rain falls on a 2-lane, 1-mile-long road, it can generate about 550,000 gallons of stormwater runoff, and that picks up oil, gas, debris as it goes along, residues. So I know that this house isn't going to make Wellington Avenue suddenly generate 55,000 gallons of additional runoff, but it is going to increase runoff because the amount of water that evaporates from an asphalt surface is not the same as the amount of water that is absorbed into the ground. It also keeps water out of our groundwater, which acts as more of a natural filtration system, and it places a further burden on Lowell's wastewater treatment facilities when this water is going into the drains. And since it is on a slope, that water has to go somewhere. When it's hitting the driveway doesn't have a gutter, there's a high potential it's going to go into the Allen's home and potentially cause some issues. And lastly, this is a personal note, but I do not believe that this property development is done with Lowell's best interests in mind, including the best interests of residents that actually need real affordable housing. The developers here are asking for variances to approve a plan that results in maximum profit, but not actual creation of, say, affordable, higher density multi-units. Personally, I would have no problem if the Allens wanted to turn their garage into an ADU to support someone in their family, provide multi-generational housing, even bring in additional income. I'm happy to support that. This is a for-profit endeavor. Like Mr. Allen said, I have not heard any actual hardship that has come out of this process. And you know, at our meet and greet, the realtor for the builders, who I don't think he's here tonight, but he had made a comment about how if this didn't work, one of the builders may have to move back to Lowell from Westford. And you know, I'm really proud to live in Lowell, even though I'm a newer resident here. It's quickly felt like home, and I'm proud to live here. And I can't really put my faith in the motivations of someone who essentially believes that living in Lowell is an undesirable outcome. You know, and I wanted to leave that meeting feeling more confident in this bill, but instead I left that I was a nuisance, not a member of the neighborhood to be heard. Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am. Anyone else wish to speak in opposition? Yeah, go ahead.
My name is Jennifer Jolly, and I have some pretty pictures here if anybody wants. 130 Park Avenue East, next door. So, I went digging around on the Lowell website. I'm not an engineer and I'm not an architect, so my calculations may be slightly off, but I basically, this is the, sorry, hard to do like this, but this is the lot at 65 Wellington. This is my block, and if you exclude the property which is owned by the Lowell Cemetery, and you total up all of the land, and you do a calculation of the FAR for the combined 65 Wellington Avenue new construction, by my very rough, possibly inaccurate calculation, you could add 8 to 10 1,580 square foot dwelling units to the block that's highlighted in yellow, my block. The variances do set precedent. I think the board would find it difficult to tell me, for example, no, I can't build a second house on my property. I don't think that I would require those types of variances. You are setting a precedent. The variances are quite substantial. As has been stated, there is no hardship. And I'll finish up by saying I found this map online. I found this on the Lowell City website. Everything in pink is a neighborhood on the National Historic District, recognized by the city of Lowell around 2004, 2005. Park Avenue East itself is within the borders of that National Historic District. this particular lot, one of the lot lines is actually abuts that historic district. I would assume that one of the premises of establishing a National Historic District is to reinforce the preservation of the character of the neighborhood. And this would seem to not support that character. And in case the board is interested, there are, this is one I hit.
Thank you. Anyone else wishing to speak in opposition? Yeah, go ahead, sir.
Tim Carroll, 16 Melrose Ave. Been a resident of the neighborhood for 25 years, resident of Lowell for my life. My wife grew up in the house that we're in, and over 50 years. I walk the neighborhood every day with my dog, go by the house every day. The suggestion about taking that tree out, that'd be a fantastic thing. It's coming around that corner. I have to walk down the middle of the street because there's no sidewalk there. What little sidewalk there is, it's about 1.5 feet deep. So that coming out, putting in a sidewalk would be a good thing. If all of the parking is actually off-street, that'd be a good thing as well. As I said, if a car comes down the street, I gotta jump in the lawn or something in between cars, to get out of the way. It does add a house to the city housing stock, but I would disagree that any house on a lot is a good thing, as was mentioned in the last meeting. This is only a lot if you guys decide that it becomes a lot. And I estimated somewhat on, the previous week was looking at that 9-block neighborhood in between Rogers and the parks. I came up with about 14 other properties that could sustain a 5,000 square foot subdivision and put another property on that, just within that neighborhood, that big neighborhood. I also just wanted to reiterate comments from the board at the wrap-up of last meeting that most of you had stated. There was a concern with the size of the development, and this person wasn't comfortable with the split. There's an existing 2-family grandfathered in a single-family zone, and now we're asking to add one more to that. There was concern with condos versus rentals and potential control of the parking. I know the parking issue had changed at the time. They were looking to go from compliant to non-compliant. Also, at the time, there were 7 variances. I don't know how many there are now. Is it maybe 5 or 6? Or I don't know how many variance requests there actually are, but there's a lot. There was a feeling that there was already enough on that lot. We didn't need to add any more. Comment was made, the zoning is the zoning. Going from no hardship to creating a hardship, and then in my words, basically just as a flip. For somebody to, put a aging relative in or anything like that. And the last comment that I heard was, it's far from appropriate housing in a neighborhood that's zoned as single family. I'll leave it at that.
Thank you, sir. Anyone else wishing to speak up? Yeah, go ahead.
I'm Kim Carner, I live at 23 Belrose, and I own 99-101, which is in a butter.
Okay.
To follow up on what Tim was saying, so the current 2-family, if it was rented, can only have 6 people per unit, because it's 3 bedrooms each. Once those become condos, there's no limit to the amount of people that we put in there. So you could be talking a lot more people in a small lot. And to follow up again, it's already a single family lot that has a 2-family house, and now you're trying to add a 3rd family on what should be a 1-family lot.
Okay, thank you, ma'am. Anyone else? Yeah, go ahead, ma'am.
I'm concerned with the hypocrisy here when you speak about public good. First of all, for a meeting like this, with all these people who've come for just this purpose, having been continued already twice, with all the spaces that there are in Lowell, you can't find anything but this overcrowded, heated room to do this discussion. It's obvious that you don't care about the public good. Now, for Attorney Gary to be fighting for his clients, that's what an attorney does. I expect him to do so. But for public good, for those of us who live in that neighborhood, I'm sorry, there's no public good involved. You want to spoil a single-family neighborhood, and when Preston comes in, we start doing that with one property initially, then it's gonna spread throughout our neighborhood. And we purposely move to those neighborhoods and maintain those houses and pay taxes that are rising every year at considerable rates because we want to stay in that neighborhood and because we want it to stay a single-family neighborhood. So to give a damn about the public good, there's it exemplified right there in this particular situation. And as far as being affordable housing, that's nonsense, because it's not gonna be affordable housing, not for the average person. And so if we really care about that, there's plenty of ruined-looking homes in Lowell that you can spot just by driving through the city that could use a little rehab, and then you'll have a little bit of that public good housing.
Oh, what's your name?
Sorry, Francis Novak, 71 Belrose Ave.
All right, thank you, ma'am. Anyone else wish to speak in opposition? Yeah, go ahead, ma'am.
75 Boyd Ave. There's a reason we moved to Adriana. There's a reason we moved to the neighborhood, and we like it to stay that way. Because, you know, once one does it, it's just gonna spread. And when's it gonna stop? And pretty soon, might as well just be living downtown. If we wanted that, we would have, you know, in a crowded area.
Thank you, ma'am. And anyone else? Yeah, go ahead, sir.
Yeah, Andrew James Clark II, live at 75 Boyd Avenue. Just got back from 2 years of active duty service. I haven't been back from Lowell in 2 years. 11 years active duty service. I haven't been back to home alone in 2 years. And this affordable housing, I can't buy a house here. It's gonna cost $300,000-$400,000 for that house. We can't afford it. I'm 29. My wife is 26. It's gonna go up. It's gonna cost the same as everybody else in the neighborhood. It's gonna be the Highlands. Next thing you know, 15 feet apart. You got an easement where you can walk back, store your trash can. It's not gonna be good. I lived all over Lowell growing up. We moved there, took a lot of work, and it's nice. Adding this house is gonna turn it to where none of us wanna live. And doing this and making Lowell like the rest of Lowell, you know, Belvedere, South Bellevue, it's nice. It's gonna drive us out of Lowell. We don't wanna live like that. We want a house for kids to play in the streets. We want it nice and safe, and that's not gonna create that. Yep. And it's not affordable. It won't be.
Thank you, sir. Anyone else wish to speak in opposition? Yeah, go ahead, sir. Just name
John Stecky, 82 Belrose Ave. Listen, I've lived on the same street since 1955. I bought the house across the street from where I grew up. I'm in the house that I played in with Jimmy Reardon. You guys remember Jimmy Reardon?
Yeah.
Families, that's right. Families are moving back in when parents move out. Their families are moving in. I'm not in the same situation as you. I'm 71 years old, and I bought my house way back in 1980. And I could have moved a number of times. You know how many people say to me, "You live in Lowell," with looking down at me because I live in Lowell? You know what I say to them? Don't come to my neighborhood because I don't want you to wreck it. I tell them, people come to my neighborhood and think I'm living, and don't take this the wrong way, think I'm living in Tewksbury. They say, "This is Tewksbury, right?" No, this is Lowell. And I love my neighborhood. And I don't want to see the face of it changed. Listen, I met Jamie. He's a good guy. I like him. And he's out to make money. That's capitalism at its best, and I'm all for that. I really am. But you guys on this board need to understand, you're changing the face of a neighborhood when you start that. And I know it's been said many times. I'm one of those guys that he walked around and looked at my yard and said, "Hey, you can put a house in there."
Me too.
Right. So I'm just saying there are, in this room, probably 6 or 7 that it's possible that could happen for us. You don't think we would like that so we could make twice as much money on our house too?
Yeah.
But we're here because we love this neighborhood. You allow this, you're changing the face of this neighborhood, and you're creating what people think about Lowell. Yeah, just wreck Lowell, who cares? It's a throwaway city. That's the attitude I get. I'm 71 years old, and I went to Lowell High, graduated from Lowell High. And I don't want to see this change. And I bet you, if I just asked everyone here, they'd all say, right on.
Right on.
So I'll leave it at that, but please consider what we're saying here. And Jamie, I'm sorry. I really am. I mean, and I'd love you guys to make as much money as you can, and that's fine with me.
Take it somewhere else.
But not destroying the face of a beautiful neighborhood.
Thank you, sir. Anyone else wish to speak in opposition? Yeah, go ahead, sir.
So I'm Harry Stecky. I live at 77 Belrose Avenue, pretty much all my life.
The house I grew up in.
I don't know, I don't know if you gentlemen have went by that, where they're proposing to do what they want to do, if you've seen that. But if you see where they want to put it and the grade of the land that they want to change to put a single-family house, again, to put more cars out on the street, that they, as soon as it starts snowing, they get your cars off the street, and you want to put more cars out there, it just doesn't make any sense to me to want to do what they want to do. And like you said, making money is great, but not in our neighborhood to change it like that, because everybody here knows everybody. And it's just a great neighborhood. I've been there for 70 years, and I'd like to die there. Hopefully not for a few more years. So I would just consider, if you guys have not gone by there, look what they want to change. It's really not good. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Anyone else wish to speak in opposition? Yeah, go ahead.
I'm Carrie Stecky. I live at 79 Melrose Avenue, and also just to note, no real big deal, but the last meeting minutes, you put me at 82 Barrows and my dad at 82, but we're different addresses.
We'll correct that. Thank you.
Anyway, I read the fine print. Kind of just echoing what everybody said. I grew up there too. That's my dad over there. So I grew up in the house where my uncle lived, obviously. My grandparents lived. And I just want, and I know like Carrie over there too, she lives in the house that she grew up in. We love our neighborhood. I know it's been said. And I just ask that you please, just uphold the zoning laws that are there, like John said, and don't vote against that in the sense, that you would allow it, that you would, vote this down, decline it, so that our neighborhood can stay the same, not change.
Thank you, Neil.
I'll be real quick.
Yeah, go ahead, sir.
Paul Nephew, 75 Hoyt.
Yep.
And I just want to say three things, and that is traffic, traffic,
Yeah.
and traffic.
Yeah, that's right.
The neighborhood is inundated now with traffic. A lot of it is people simply cutting through the neighborhood to avoid the busy Rogers Street intersection. School buses come down there and they go fast. No one's doing anything about that. We've complained many times.
Driving.
There's a lot, and just the addition of this is going to only exacerbate that, and it's just, no one's even mentioned that yet. And that's the biggest problem, in my opinion. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Anyone else wish to speak in opposition? In opposition? In opposition? All right, seeing none. That portion of the public hearing is closed. Anyone wish to speak in favor of this petition? In favor? In favor? All right, seeing none. We're gonna open up questions and comments to the board now. The chair recognizes, Mr. Briere. Mr. Briere, the floor is yours, sir.
Mr. Chairman, when this petition was originally presented to this board, I was absent. This is the first time that I've ever had to do this. So my apologies to the petitioner, to my colleagues on the board, and to the gathered residents here. But I must recuse myself from this vote. I have not watched the previous meeting, therefore I am not qualified to offer judgment on this petition. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Briere. The chair recognizes Mr. Nickerson. Mr. Nickerson, the floor is yours, sir.
I don't have any questions. I just appreciate everybody coming out tonight and giving your comments. There's a lot to think about. Taking it all in. Thank you, though.
All right, thank you, Mr. Nickerson. The chair recognizes Mr. Prokop. Mr. Prokop, the floor is yours, sir.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. When neighbors come out, either in favor or opposition, it does weigh in on the decision-making in addition to the, what is in the zoning bylaws. And I have to say that the gentleman who quoted the first part, that's you, Mr. Allen, of the zoning, is also considered that we looked to beautify the neighborhood when we approve things from a zoning perspective. If it denigrates the neighborhood based on space variances and opposition, it has to be considered. So I cannot say that I can support with all of this opposition, and also based on the variances that's needed. So I would have to, again, this is not because of all the opposition in the room, but in addition to what we have here. I would have to, not vote in favor of this committee variances. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you, Mr. Pronko. The chair recognizes, the vice chairman, Mr. Callahan, the floor is yours, sir.
Thank you, through you, Mr. Chairman. Council Geary, we want to go over the steps on how we move to the variance here as to what the specific hardship is, how it is for the public good.
Sure.
For the, and whether the intent of zoning is
Sure.
met.
So we believe that we have a unique lot to the neighborhood. We have frontage on both Wellington Ave and Park Ave East. So we satisfy the frontage requirement for these lots. There aren't a lot of lots in the neighborhood like this two-family home with a sloping backyard. We feel that we substantially satisfy the intent of the zoning in a traditional single-family zoning district. And the hardship would clearly be the loss of an economic opportunity, which sure, it benefits the developer, but it also benefits the city. We're creating housing, we're creating real estate tax revenue to the city. So that's how we meet the criteria for variance. We feel strongly that we do.
Okay, thank you for going over that. I know at the previous meeting, there was, my concern was the parking, which I think I pointed out at the point, the parking, you were asking for relief from the parking, but we were taken away from parking from the existing unit to create the hardship, but that's now been alleviated in the new plans, and I appreciate that, where now you're not seeking a variance for parking now at all, because that's now been
correct.
So the only things that I'm seeing that you really need from this are minimum front yard setback of it looks like 15 feet is required. You have 14.6 feet. So that's very minimal as far as relief is concerned. So I can see that. The porches, it looks like there's, from what I'm gathering, it looks like requirement is 9 feet, and on each of the lots you have 6 feet, 3 feet, which is relief of 3 feet. See that being an issue there. FAR, it's a little bit tricky on that, but I guess to the point of it, the main issues that we are here on, as I really pointed out in your initial presentation, the lot size, the lot area per dwelling unit, and the FAR. And to your point, looking at what you provided, and I understand the neighbors' concerns. Believe me, I've listened to them. I live in the neighborhood as well. I'm very familiar with the neighborhood, and I've heard concerns about if this is built, it's going to destroy the character of the neighborhood. Looking at surrounding lots around the Wellington Ave, as Attorney Garrett has pointed out, on Belrose Street, 6,000 square feet, 6,000 square feet, 6,000 square feet, 6,000 square feet, 6,300 square feet. Those last two are both two-family houses, including Mr. Allen's. 6,300 square feet, 6,300 square feet. Going down Wellington Ave, we've got 4,700 square feet, 4,700 square feet, 4,700 square feet, 4,700 square feet. All of them below the requirements for zoning. All of them. How is that going to destroy the character of the neighborhood?
Well, come on.
With all due respect. So, and I have the floor, please.
Folks,
thank you.
Please, just one person at a time. The vice chairman has the floor, please. Please.
Thank you. I don't understand how that destroys the character of the neighborhood when you have existing lots in the neighborhood that are below the required 7,000 square feet. They're seeking 5,000, 5,200, 5,300 for the existing, 5,000 for the single family, which has been scaled down from your prior plans, I might add as well, which was, I believe, how big was it before?
They were both more even, 5,200. So the single family is a little smaller now than the two family.
Okay. So, looking at that, considering the criteria and the lot sizes surrounding it, and I understand there are other lot sizes that I'm looking at that are in excess of 10,000 as well, where there's speculation, which again, we don't deal in speculation, of 10,000 square feet. Those houses don't even have any access on Park East Lane only, don't have any access to, don't have the access to Wellington or the unusual topography that Attorney Geary has pointed out. So that being said, I think, considering the lot size in the area, adding an additional house to add to the housing stock, and I understand people get it's affordable housing stock. We're not going to know if it's affordable until it's sold. People, again, speculating about whether or not this is going to be affordable or not. We don't know. We don't know until it's sold.
Member Callahan, I would, if I can, I'm sorry. I just suggest we never, ever stated that this would be affordable housing. This will be market rate housing, and it will be on the lower end of the market. It will be more or less entry-level housing for either, new residents to the city or current residents to the city. So that's the intent. We never spoke about affordable housing. This is, it's not an opportunity for affordable housing.
Thanks for pointing that out. I appreciate that. But it adds to the housing stock, and I've heard many people just say, yeah, we have a housing crisis. Yeah, we have a housing crisis, and we need more housing. We need more housing. But apparently, not in this neighborhood, from what I'm hearing from everybody who's in here. That goes out the window. Yeah, you want housing when it's needed, but not in this neighborhood, apparently. So I think you meet the criteria on this. I think it does fit in with the lot size does fit in with the neighborhood compared to all the surrounding houses in the area. I believe you've met the criteria. You have established to me that you have a hardship, that the public good will be maintained. And by the way, the public good does not surround just the neighborhood. It's for the entire city. It's the entire city. That's what we focus on when we do these criteria for the zone. The neighborhood does take into account, but we must take into account that the entire city as far as the public good is concerned. And as far as intent of zoning is concerned, yes, I believe you meet those criteria as well. So I would be looking favorable on this petition. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Cameron. The chair recognizes Mr. McCarthy. Mr. McCarthy, floor is yours, sir.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I just want to start by saying how grateful I am to live in the city where these neighbors all turn out and care so deeply about the actions of the board and what goes on in their neighborhood. I grew up not in this lovely neighborhood. I grew up on the other side of Andover Street in a newer neighborhood, but not nearly as nice as this one. But my piano teacher, Miss Lillian Sullivan, was on her way down. And my art teacher, Mrs. Hancock, was on. So I know that neighborhood very well, and I love the neighborhood, especially the access to green space. But most importantly, everyone is showing up for this. And it is unfortunate that we are in this room. It's unfortunately nothing the board can do about it. It's just a function of how the city has multiple things they're juggling at the same time. It is very unfortunate. We're sorry that we have this in not very effective room to meet in, but we're here. I just want to say, at the last meeting, I thought the fact that this is a traditional single-family neighborhood with the requirement of 7,000 square foot lots, the existing lot is 10,000 square feet and change, 10,354 square feet, but has 2 residences on it. In a traditional single-family residence, already was helping the housing crisis, if you will, of Lowell, but already creating a density that was higher than what the neighborhood should be bearing. And the reason I think the intent of zoning was done back in 2004 when the zoning was first published was to help solve density and help manage the development and to not go by what the small lots are in the rest of the neighborhood, but to say, let's recognize that this is a neighborhood that we need to have 7,000 square foot lots as a minimum, even though we all know that there's a lot of lots in the neighborhood that are less than 7,000 square feet. We're not gonna say go to the minimum lot size when the zoning was established. We're gonna say go to 7,000 because that's a nice middle ground between 10 and 5 or something. And that will be possibly a way of solving density. Zoning's an experiment, it changes. And maybe it'll change again. But as I see my function on the board, it's to honor the intent of zoning. And the intent of zoning was not to have a 2-family house on a 10,000 square foot lot get subdivided and have a 5,000 and change square foot lot for a 2-family. That one really I struggle with tremendously. I'm grateful that the applicant has done such a tremendous job of preparing documents. And it's easy for us to understand them, and a lot of people do not do that. And we're grateful for that. At least I am. But I do not see how this is meeting the criteria for the zoning relief that we're required to follow. And I think that it runs contrary to the intent of zoning, to have 3 residents basically on a 10,000 square foot lot, when we're told to follow 7,000 square foot for a single family. So I know I can't support this, but I just hope my fellow board members recognize the big ask here. It really should be the function of the city redefining zoning if it's intended to have 5,000 square foot lots, but not for the zoning board to grant this many. Granted, one other thing, you reduce the variances, a great thing to see. I think you're down to 3. I think it's just 3 variances.
Yeah, right.
And I think you were here with 7.
7.
So to come from 7 to 3, tremendous work. I cannot make the leap, though, to support this. I cannot make the leap to support this, and it's largely because of the fact that you currently have a 2-family. Maybe if it was a single family, I could try to see a way, but I cannot with that thing.
I would suggest that goes to the uniqueness of the lot, though, Member McCarthy, and I understand it's, there are 2 families in this district. It's a traditional single-family district. Again, the intent of the traditional single-family district is to promote single-family homes on moderately sized lots. We can't do anything about the 2-family, it's there. They're actually doing a great job with what's there, complete 100% rehab of that property. But, we are creating a single-family, an additional single-family lot, which substantially complies with the intent of the zoning. So although I understand there's a
I didn't ask a question.
Go ahead.
And you just started speaking.
Oh, I'm sorry.
The fact that it's a 2-family is too much density. Too much density for a single-family zone. And that is my breaking point with this application. I cannot get over that issue. And there are 2 families in all single-family districts in the city. There's nothing unique about it. It's just the way, when the zoning was was revisited in 2004, and it has been revisited many times since. Not to say that it stopped then. We've always understood that we're grappling with a balance here of density, and this is too dense in my book. One point of criticism, your grading plan is missing from your revised site plan for the parking, and you have a parking space on what, a 4-to-1 slope?
Yeah, there's a retaining wall proposed there.
But we don't have details, right? But other than that, I thought the application was very thorough, and I'm grateful for the fact that you gave us great documents and you reduced the number of variances you're asking for, which are too big pluses. I cannot support it.
Okay. Thank you, Mr. McCarthy. I just wanted to say, starting out, thank you for everyone for coming tonight. I know it's not always an easy thing, or to come in and just voice your concerns and opinions. Hopefully, the people here tonight, they feel like the voice was at least heard. Like my colleague said, we do take everyone's comments into consideration amongst other information we have. You know, from my perspective, Mr. Gary, I really do think this is a project that is doable. But I think from my perspective, sir, it's still a little bit, it couldn't be condensed down more, in my opinion. You know, again, I think it's great. The information, the documents you gave us, it's all, you know, great detail about what you're going to do with the project. And again, the applicants, you know, I heard only great things about you from not just these people, but other people contacting me too. And I think for me, it's not just the neighbors here and the like almost 40 signatures that we got. And we're gonna have to keep that tonight for the record. So it requires zoning variance considering the size and slope of the property. Zoning board should consider keeping fewer cars from the parking along Parking Avenue East, which is used by many walkers, kids on bikes, people pushing babies and strollers, and dog walkers. If this variance is approved, it could set a precedent for small lots in the city, including in Belvedere. We believe that the rejection of the request for the variance will be for the good of all, not just the immediate neighborhood, but for the entire city of Lowell. Let's preserve as much green space as possible in the city, even in this small lot. Thank you. Mark Myers and Virginia Myers. And I just wanted to add to you, Counselor, and to your client, you know, you're right to withdraw our prejudice for sure. You know,
Explain what that is, withdrawing without prejudice, what that means.
I can explain that if you'd like.
Yeah.
So we withdraw without prejudice. You can bring if you get a no vote tonight, you're shut down for 2 years. You can't bring any application forward for 2 years. Withdrawing without prejudice, remove the application from the.
Gotcha.
And again, thank you, Mr. Gary. It gives you the opportunity to kind of go back and redesign it, you know, talk to the neighbors, maybe scale it down even more, and
Change the plans and come back.
Yeah, you have that right.
New application.
It'd be like a whole new process. So, and this is just my thought. I encourage you to work with, you know, not just DPD in the city, but the neighbors and, you know, so we can have a project that's, you know, amenable and suitable for like everyone involved.
Got it.
Perfect. Any other comments from my colleagues before we move on?
I didn't hear everything you said about without prejudice, so it just means that it's as if it never happened. Yes? That
It happened.
Yeah.
It's on the record.
So does that mean that this particular request is not, as if it never happened? And you can come back with another request?
Yes.
Even the same one if you wanted to?
It'll be a new proposal, but.
I mean, is that true, what I just said?
Not for 2 years.
No.
Not 2 years. No.
No, but,
Yeah, but they're not voting.
Sir, we're not voting tonight, so
no,
just.
you're not
yeah.
voting no, that's, I'm trying to understand. So, without, you, attorney, has withdrawn it without prejudice.
Requesting that it be withdrawn without prejudice.
Exactly, which means it's as if it never happened here,
No,
right?
The meeting happened tonight. This is the outcome of the meeting tonight. the public hearing's closed, sir. We're gonna have to move forward with the vote. All right, any other comments from my colleagues? We move forward with the vote. All right, seeing none. Go, Mr. Crosby.
Mr. Chairman, I'd like to make a motion for ZBA 2023-19 for variance to the 65 Wellington Street, Wellington Ave, to be withdrawn without prejudice.
Second.
Motion by Mr. McCarthy, second by the Vice Chair, Mr. Callahan. Can I have a roll call, please?
Chairman Peck,
Approve the withdrawal without prejudice.
Member Callahan,
Approve withdrawal without prejudice.
Member McCarthy,
Approve withdrawal without prejudice.
Member Proko,
Approve withdrawal without prejudice.
Member Nickerson,
Without prejudice.
and then Member Briers.
Recuse.
All right. You will withdraw without prejudice.
Thank you all for your time.
All right, thank you everyone for
Very
coming.
informative here.
Thank you for coming, folks. Thank you, folks. Thank you, folks. Thank you. Thank you, folks. Thank you, everybody.
Hey, thank you. Everything. Thank you.
Thank you for coming out tonight. Thank you.
I need to bring this back the same way.
Can't do the same way.
I knew I recognized it.
We're part of the new wave crew.
Yeah, well, that's what, I doubt they can come back to the same way.
Yeah, it's a very challenging topic. Yeah.
All right.
Thank you, gentlemen. Thank you. Thank you, ma'am.
We go get the next group.
Yeah. 330 Princeton.
Does anybody remember this case? She didn't live quite there, but she lived there.
Small house.
Yes.
The name is.
I know, right?
He didn't wear the tennis.
Air conditioning.
He was.
I know.
Yeah.
I mean, we could have gone out there.
Yeah, this building is actually worse.
I did write it.
So here's what I want you to go to Lowell House, talk to them about knocking down all the buildings over there so we can get the front street, just put like one public safety building with all you guys.
Mr. Gifford, you can make that happen, sir.
These can't be a mess.
That's my thought.
You can make that happen.
If we could trade them off some land,
Yeah.
we can just build this building right down there.
You need a big one.
Huh?
Can we squeeze in kind of?
Yeah. Just a
Can we go
lot.
higher?
The principal's
Dennis, can we go higher?
Very town.
I want to tell you, I bought it.
I was just talking about how we like
I know.
for all of us.
You don't have to.
Yeah.
All right, folks, we're just gonna continue the meeting now, so we can just,
Petitioners can come up right here.
If you need to sit, you can sit. Where's?
so where's the applicant for 330 Princeton Boulevard? Yeah, come on in. You guys, yeah, have a seat. Just a few seconds. All right, moving on to our next agenda item under new business, we have ZBA-2023-13 petition of variance. The applicant is Edson Dos Santos, property located at 330 Princeton Boulevard. Petitioner has applied to the zoning board of appeals seeking a variance approval to subdivide the existing lot into 2 lots and construct a new 2-family dwelling. The subject property is located in the traditional 2-family QTF zoning district. Lot A requires a variance approval for section 641 for relief from the minimum off-street park requirements and parking space dimension requirements for section 541 for relief from the minimum frontage, minimum lot area per dwelling unit, and minimal use of open space per dwelling unit requirements, and any other relief required under the Lowell zoning ordinance. Lot B requires variance approval for section 6.1 for relief from the minimum off-street parking requirements and minimum parking space dimensional requirements. For section 5.1 for relief from the minimum lot area dwelling unit, minimum frontage, minimum usable open space, minimum side yard setback, and minimum garage front yard setback requirements, and any other relief required in the Lowell ordinance. Good evening, sir. You want to tell a little bit about your project?
Yeah, I'm Nick Landry from DRT. We're the architects on the project, and Edson DeSantos is the property owner over there.
You can have a seat, sir. Come on in.
if you want me to, I can quickly walk through some of those variances.
Yeah,
if that's
go ahead,
helpful.
if you don't mind, that'd be great.
I don't know what's the easiest way for me to stand up.
That's fine, yeah, sure, however you feel comfortable, yeah, that's fine.
So this is the lot that we're dealing with here, 330 Princeton Boulevard. Which is this lot here. There's an existing house that currently lives in right here on the corner. And we're proposing to subdivide the lot and create a two-family here with access from both Gertrude and Princeton. Each of the units will have their own driveway. There was a side yard setback variance, which we've now reduced the size of the building to remove that variance. But I think the rest of the ones that were noted here are still applicable. It seems like from the existing survey, it seems like these were two lots at some point. They were labeled lots 1 and 2, so I think that's kind of how the impetus for this, how this kind of started to roll out. So part of the project is to correct the, if we subdivide the lot, we're going to end up with reduced parking for the existing two-family, which is actually being converted into a three-family. So we've modified the parking plan for this existing lot, 330 Princeton, to provide 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 spots. And then we've also created an easement through that property to lot B, which would be the front. There's a driveway here for the front unit, and then the back unit would come down here, 2 spots for the front, and then there's parking here in the front for the second unit. So the new house is going to be, as I mentioned, is 2 units. Each unit is a 3-bed, 2.5 bath, with some space in the basement, bonus space in the basement, and up on the attic floor. And I think that's the summary of kind of the project. I don't know if there's any questions.
Okay, thank you, sir, for your summary of the project. Looking over more questions or comments to the public now. Anyone wishing to speak in opposition?
I'll speak.
Yeah, go ahead, sir. Name and address for the record, and just what.
Good evening, Mr. Chairman and members of the board. My name is Robert Hunt. I live at 48 Florence Avenue. I am the president of the Friends of Tyler Park, which is just up the street. And I come here tonight to speak against granting the applicant a variance on many fronts. And I think the first, I would like to set the tone based on the comments of the City of Lowell Building Commissioner's comments. And his comments are, I strongly advise the zoning board to deny the proposal and the applicant. The applicant does not deal in good faith. The proposed building design is non-conforming to the Tyler Park Historic District. That's my words. That's my words. And clearly, they give no consideration to this. And based on the building commissioner's comment and looking at slide number 17, I see 4 floors of livable space capable of multiple bedrooms. And this is a building that he wants to build, if you look at it. Those 4 floors of livable space. Along with this condition, the variance, additional lot area per dwelling unit, minimum lot frontage, and the easements are another thing here for parking, where it drives from Gertrude across somebody else's land to get into there. It's way convoluted, and if this changes hands, you'll never be able to do that. Variance is required to make this fail. I believe that under 11.2.3, variance prerequisite section B, public good and desirable relief may be granted without substantial detriment to the public good. And in my opinion, this does not meet this. They do not meet that. And I can only foresee that this really degrading the neighborhood with this and potential for additional bedrooms once everything is done and gone. And then you're going to have a ton of people living there, not to mention all the existential parking that can go out on the street if he does decide to rent that 4th floor and that basement apartment. Because the mechanicals are not on the basement side. There is an area in there, he shows it as an office, both on the 4th floor and the basement floor. So that is a big worry to me. But I hope you vote against this. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Anyone else wish to speak in opposition? Yeah, good question.
Mr. Chairman, I'm here on behalf of the abutter, the faculty family at 318 and 316. Thank you guys for your time tonight. I'll go over just a couple of points, leave time for everybody else to speak, but it's important that we address a couple of serious issues with this. The proximity and potential damages. We're here today to express apprehension about the close proximity and the proposed construction of property next to 316, 318. The construction process itself raises concerns about the potential damages that could affect the home and the tenants that live there currently today. We live there today, and the issues like foundation settling, vibrations, soil stability are all real worries with fieldstone that's currently built in the current house that's there now. I kindly urge you to consider a comprehensive engineering assessment on this, as 10 feet is still not enough. Originally 9.4, I believe it was, but 10 is still not enough. The integrity and the structure of that property are at risk, right? So that's just something that we're facing right now. Off-street parking is also a huge issue on Rutland and on Gertrude. When the plows come now, the off-street parking, actually street parking is so bad they can't even get around the cars that don't move. So you've got narrow roads that you've got to drive down. I can only imagine adding 2 more families with how many potential cars could really jack that up. Now there's the impact of natural light on the garden itself. The garden at 318 and 316 is vital for this family. Their garden is an integral part of their home, and this process construction threatens its well-being. The reduced sunlight due to construction will have significant repercussions, I say significant, on the health of the plants, fruit, and the vegetables there. The overall aesthetics of the property will also be damaged. I kindly ask you to recognize that, and it's important when you think about this decision today. The sunlight of our garden's vitality, we consider an aspect to making life decisions for our family as we grow food there. Loss of views. Proposed construction also poses a potential obstruction of views for the windows on the right side of the home. Right now there are trees, there's a sky, you can see out, and tenants rent for that very reason. There's a front porch and even a back porch people sit on, but the side view is critical. You would be removing that view for the side of somebody's home, be adding siding to their view now. That's pretty tough. So I ask that you think about that and how it negatively impacts the quality of life and the visual appeal of the property that exists there today. And I want to draw attention to the emotional and aesthetic value that that view holds for me, my family, and the current tenants that rent from this family. Now, property value concerns are now big. Another significant concern of ours revolves around the potential effect of this new construction on the value of our current properties and the properties of the people who live in this neighborhood. I'm worried that these obstructed views and sunlight could lead to decreased property value. Trying to sell a home where a home is right up against it is much different than selling a home with some space around it. I kindly ask you to consider that precedent in similar cases where property values were adversely affected by comparable circumstances. We're not here to obstruct our neighbors' plans. We're not here to be troublemakers or cause issues for this gentleman, but we want a resolution that solves these concerns for everybody. And building something that's 4 stories up and that gets in the way of other existing properties and potentially causes serious damage to existing structures is dangerous. We would ask that you explore other architectural designs potentially, or find another place to build it. So I want to thank you all for your time tonight and appreciate your listening. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Frickholm. Anyone else wish to speak in opposition? In opposition.
I live on 36 Gertrude.
Name, please.
I'm sorry, my name is Caesar.
Address.
36 Gertrude. Couple houses down, and one red flag that automatically stood out to me, there's a fire hydrant right in front of my home. This house is tucked away behind the multifamily. There's no fire hydrants within the scope of that house on Princeton Boulevard, so I'm assuming the only fire hydrant, if there was, God forbid, a fire, would be that hydrant. I don't see how the fire truck, since based on the distance of where the fire hydrant is to that home, could reach. So automatically, just not even being biased, just as a safety concern for potential tenants, it's a huge red flag.
Thank you, Mr. Frickholm. Anyone else wishing to speak in opposition?
Sure. I live at 32 Gertrude Avenue, and
what was your name?
Sorry, Marie Frank. I live at 32 Gertrude Avenue. So just down the street, and I would echo some of the concerns that we've already heard tonight by adding in a rather large structure on that property. Basically, on that lot, we're going from a 2-family. That 2-family's already been made for 3. We put on another 2-family. That could be added to 3. We now have the potential of a 6-family situation on what was originally a 2-family lot. And the safety issues, I think, are important, especially considering that the need of the easement, because you're always asking to cross over that property. And as been mentioned, there's no guarantee that those two properties will always be owned by the same person. Finally, I would just say that the rules and regulations that govern the zoning board have been written and put in place by people that have worked very hard, that are professionally trained, have worked very hard to put those regulations in place with the good of the community and the long-range good of the community in mind. And I would just simply urge you to uphold the rules and regulations that are already there so that we can ensure that the neighborhoods we live in remain the places that we love to live in.
Thank you, ma'am, for your comments. Anyone else wish to speak in opposition?
Are you gonna speak? Oh, go ahead. No, go ahead.
Hi, Dennis McPhail, I live at 43 Gertrude. Parking, right now is a very major consideration on the street, especially towards the end of the street. Even tonight, there was a car parked right at the very end of Gertrude Avenue, right at the stop sign. Sometimes you can't go up the street. You have to stop and wait for the person to come down the street. So the proposal that I saw, would take, I guess, Mr. DeSantis' patio, I believe it is, that's there.
That's correct.
And make it 4 parking spots. Well, that's gonna cut away, I'm gonna say at least 3 parking spots that would presently be needed for the street. So that's it's just gonna take away much more than we have now. And, Mr. DeSantis, I believe he runs a business, okay, and he has trucks that come in and out of the facility quite often, I'm pretty sure. And that one particular truck that he has, he uses this patio for parking presently. So I say to myself, where was that truck going to park if there's 4 other cars that are parked in that patio? Okay, so parking is a major consideration. It never was, but now it is. And that's my major concern. And as Marie just said, enforcing the present laws or rules, I should say, should be taking place. We shouldn't probably even be here, but we are here. Okay, because you requested it, that's fine. Okay, so, but there's present laws and rules in the city. Maybe we should enforce them.
Thank you for your comments, sir. Anyone else wish to speak in opposition?
Jackie, are you gonna speak? Yeah, you gonna say?
No, go
ahead.
I'm concerned.
Sorry, what's your name?
Oh, excuse me, Jacqueline Dennison, I live at 14 Arcadia Avenue.
Thank you, ma'am.
Sorry. I looked up this property, it only has 12,283 square feet, with a large 2-family house and a 2-car garage already in a densely populated neighborhood. I live a short distance away in a single home with a 2-car garage on 9,819 square feet. And it's like I don't live in a great big yard. The property next to 330 Princeton on 47 Gertrude has 6259 square feet. It is also a single home. So to put another 2-family home on this lot is unrealistic. And the parking places are unrealistic. There are 4 parking spaces proposed on Gertrude Avenue, and I measured them, and it's 30 feet. And you're supposed to have at least 8 feet for each car. And so that's 32 feet right there. The plan shows 45 feet, but I mean, that's from the fence to the end of the driveway. Maybe they're gonna go, I don't know, how you're gonna park the cars in the driveway, because people have to go in the driveway to get to those other parking places next to the new building that's supposedly going to be erected. I'm not going to say everything that I said because everyone said this. I'm just going to be repeating myself. But if they do a curb cut, I don't know that the curb cut to make those 4 spaces, it's almost like it's going to encroach the sidewalk, and you're not going to be able to walk up and down Gertrude. Even now, you can't walk up and down Gertrude because I think he's running a business out of there. I mean, there are hundreds of pallets in the backyard, unbelievable amount of pavers, heavy-duty equipment, commercial vehicles coming and going, parked on the street. And Gertrude already has a lot of cars parked on the street now with the residents, and those cars are gone during the day, so I think he's kind of running a business out of there, but, I don't know what a big snowplow's doing there, and the piles of pavers and the commercial vehicles, and, it's just too much for that little area. That's all.
Thank
Thank
you,
you.
ma'am. Thank you. Anyone else wish to speak on this?
Yes. My name is Nancy Judge. I reside at 28 Foss Street. I'm also the co-chair of the Highlands Neighborhood Association, along with the treasurer of the Friends of Tyler Park. I do have a question for this gentleman, who I didn't catch your name. Nick, did you say in the beginning that you were going out into Princeton Boulevard?
There is a curb cut proposed on the Princeton.
So you're gonna have a curb cut there and a curb cut for,
Additional parking.
wonderful. So anyways, these residents have spoke in opposition. They've said it very eloquently. So I just would like to ask this board to take their comments into consideration. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Anyone else wish to speak in opposition? Ms. Gisher?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman and members of the board. My name is Eric Gitcher. I'm here in no other capacity than a resident of 34 Livingston Avenue. You know, when we start looking at these areas, you're talking Tyler Park. You know, it's a historic area where they're proposing to go on to Princeton Boulevard. There is no parking on Princeton Boulevard by state. But currently, people do it. They park on the sidewalks because we're overpopulated over there with parking, and people don't use their driveways, and it overruns everything going down there. And as you start to try to turn or go from a stop sign that was erected at Foster and Princeton, it starts quickly. People step on the gas fast over there. So it's going to create even more of a nightmare over there. When you start looking at the property sizes, they were put in place for a reason because of Tyler Park in the historic district. And when we try to give residents like this the proper living space, they bought their homes based off of the way that it was outlined in the historic nature of it. The trees, the setbacks, the minimum lot requirements. One thing that really is striking, and I think Mr. Hunt had already said it, but is what the building commissioner is saying, is basically you got a two-family currently, you throw a third apartment upstairs, which you're not saying, and it's written in here. It says the owner made applications last fall to remodel the attic. The space was to expand the living accommodations of the second floor unit. When we were called to conduct an inspection, it was evident that the intent was to create a third floor separate living space illegally. And here we are, we're coming in. So what's going to stop you building another house, and then you're going to just create separate living spaces illegally? And if they didn't double back in his recommendations, I mean, the applicant does, here's what he said in 21, the applicant does not deal in good faith in his estimation. And that's somebody who has to enforce what we're going to allow people to build. And, you know, again, it comes down to character of the neighborhood. They're living, these people wouldn't be here on a Thursday night if they didn't really care about their neighborhood and the quality of life within. And I think as a city, that's your obligation to try to maintain that. And I think that you guys have done well in doing that, but at the same time, businesses coming in, you see a contractor coming in, you're looking at the overpopulation of an area, you're looking at the trees get cut down in neighborhoods. It just doesn't sit well for the neighborhood, and where these variances have to come in, minimum lot size on that. I just would ask all of you to not accept this proposal and vote against it. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Gishman. Anyone else wish to speak in opposition? Go ahead.
Mine is perhaps more emotional than anything else.
Just say your name and address.
My name is Betty Swanholz. And I reside at 42 Gertrude Avenue.
Thank you. Yeah, thank you.
I'm sorry, excuse me.
I've been a happy homeowner since 1976. We bought 42 Gertrude Avenue in April of that year, and we enjoyed the neighborhood. It was a quiet, nice family neighborhood. There were no cars parked on the street. there were trees lining the street. Things change, I understand that, but I hope that you would consider what's going to happen to that. Thank you for listening.
Thank you, ma'am, for your comments. Anyone else wish to speak in opposition? Enough? Yeah, go ahead.
My name is Jeremy Pinheiro. I live on 37 Gertrude Ave. And, yeah, everyone pretty much said what I was gonna touch base on, but I just want to come here and say I disagree with the subdivision and hope you guys are against that. Thank you, guys.
Thank you for your comments, sir. Anyone else wishing to speak in opposition? In opposition? In opposition? All right, seeing none, that portion of public hearing is closed. Anyone wishing to speak in favor of this project? In favor? In favor? All right.
Do we?
Seeing none. Oh, go ahead, ma'am. Yeah, go ahead.
My name is Patricia Yam, and I live at 47 Gertrude Avenue, right next to the Echo, and I'm against all of this.
Okay.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you.
If I may add, please, I'm Karsan Nurinyam from 47 Gertrude Ave. The neighborhood is pretty much filled with children. We have lots of people in the neighborhood who love to walk their pets. We have elderly people, we have people who go for exercises. We're already between two major streets that are flooded with traffic on a daily basis. I think adding more people living in the area would just amplify the traffic and make it much more difficult for our neighborhood. And we're a pretty close-knit neighborhood, very family-oriented. I don't want to see that change. So I just wanted to echo that proposition. Thank you for your time.
Thank you, sir. Any other comments from the public before we close the public hearing? All right, seeing none, the public hearing is closed. Sir, I'm gonna give you an opportunity to talk about some of the things people address, because I know you were taking continuous notes too. Before we open it to the board here, is there anything you want to say before we open it to the board for comments and questions?
Yeah, I'd love to. So, you know, and I apologize. This is the first project that we've done here, so I'm not sure about the process. If we, you know, take some of these comments, change the design, reduce the size of it, address some parking issues, basically redesign the whole thing. I think what I'm hearing is that, you know, we worked really hard with Edson to create a more modern house, something that he really wanted. Sounds like there's a lot of pushback about that. I think we could certainly address that design. I think we can address the concerns about the additional square footage in the basement and in the attic floors, as well as the constructability and any kind of structural concerns for the neighboring properties. Reducing the height, I think, would probably help with the sunlight and views for the garden. And again, you know, I think there's probably some way that we can address the parking. But if we make those changes and you wouldn't vote tonight? Is that how, or do you vote regardless and then we'll come back with a separate design?
Well, thank you for your comments and follow-up to some of the people's questions there. I'm just gonna open up questions and comments from the board, and then we'll see what everybody wants to do. So I'm gonna open the floor to my colleague, Mr. Nixon, the floor is yours, sir.
Yes, I mean, I drove by it today, and it was a busy street, and the parking did seem pretty intense. I know the neighbor just behind the other side street there, there was a car actually on their front lawn, and then there was like one on the sidewalk, and then they were on the street. So that little patio area that you have, if you're gonna turn that into parking, you're losing that street parking where someone's parked. Then good luck trying to get out on that main street, Princeton Street there, because, I mean, I had to pull my car over, and I thought I was gonna get hit just getting out of my car. So, I mean, just that experience alone right there is kind of pretty tight in that little corner there. So adding more living people there with more cars, and then that easement of like up against that house, trying to get in on that driveway, you know, that's pretty loud for the person that owns that house next door, constant traffic coming out of that driveway, you know. Okay. So that was kind of like a concern of mine, to be honest with you.
Thank you, Mr. Nicholson. Chair recognizes Mr. Prokop. Mr. Prokop, floor is yours, sir.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I don't know, you've heard quotations from the building commissioners. Have you read that?
Sorry, I skipped over that. I guess I did read that. And to my knowledge, the way that was remedied, I think there was a little bit of miscommunication between Edson and the builder and what they thought they could accomplish. I mean, I think they needed to get it inspected. I think the secondary kitchen that was put in, I think that was a bigger issue. So because of that, they ran a new sprinkler system. And I spoke with the building commissioner. And so a way to to right those wrongs was to add a sprinkler system, which, I'm sorry, I missed the fire hydrant comment. This new two-family would also be sprinklered, to help with the fire issue. But, so to correct the three-family, it was subdivide the lots and then provide the adequate parking for that unit, which is what we tried to do with this curb cut. And so I think it sounds like we need to take another look at that. But the safety concerns that you would have, with a two-family building that was turned into a three, I think putting in that sprinkler system seems to have helped. I think we don't have a final sign-off yet, but we do have sign-off on everything, I think, as of last week. So he's going for his final on that conversion there, to try to right that wrong.
Okay, thank you. Well, my suggestion would be, since you are thinking about, or you intend to redesign, is that maybe you ask for a continuance and present, a new design of what you're looking for. Hopefully it's palatable for the neighbors. I would also suggest you have two neighborhood leaders in this room. You have the Friends of Tyler Park and you have the Highlands Neighborhood Association. I think it would be a good thing to present it to the neighborhoods once it's redesigned. And hopefully it's something that they can feel comfortable with. Because, apparently, it looks like, that the opposition is going to win here. So, with this, based on what we're given today. Okay, thank you, Mr. Chairman.
I'm so sorry to interrupt, Mr. Prokop. Can I add to that just for a second about the
public hearing is closed right now. Mr. Prokop, if you want to give the floor to somebody, that's still yours, sir.
I just wanted to add one comment. The reason, and it seems like there's a lot of people here, it would probably be at least triple the amount of people. If we had no notice, we had a notice in the mail. I don't know if it was you from your company that gave everyone a.
I think there was a mailer list that we were provided, and I think we have to register mail.
It looked like marketing material, so most of our neighbors weren't even aware. It literally said new design. So me as a homeowner, when I see things like that, it looked like junk mail. It had nothing to do with an address from City Hall, City of Lowell. It was very misleading. And if it wasn't for that, if we had a proper notice, I can guarantee you would probably be triple the amount of people here today. Okay. With the same thoughts.
Yeah, just one quick question. I heard you say that it's now a three-family house?
The house that's on the corner today, is going to be converted to a three-family. So they're
gonna have three, and then you want two more. So you want 5 families on that lot.
That's right.
Okay.
5 families.
I wasn't sure. I read the comments from the commissioner, but I didn't see anything about a variance for a 3-family home in the Tyler Park Historic District. I didn't think that was something
I have to add to that because we were also told you cannot have a 3-family, so we weren't allowed to build one, and that was just years ago. So
I would assume they'd have to come before this board to get that.
Correct.
So, but yet somehow the building commissioner has made a deal? Is that what this is?
that has nothing to do with us.
Well, you spoke. You're speaking for him, so.
That's not true.
I'll stop.
Please, folks, no back and forth. Mr. Prokop has the floor. If he wants to open up to one a comment by people, just there's no open dialogue back and forth.
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Chairman. So at this point, I would say, again, I would recommend the redesign, request for continuance.
Yes.
So that you can have that time.
And I guess we'll just resubmit this entire package after talking to. Okay.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Mr. Brea, I'll give the floor to you, sir. Did you want to?
Oh, no, I was just trying to,
rein it in.
Well, do you want the floor now? The floor is yours, sir, if you
Oh, I'll
want.
take it.
Yeah, we'll jump around, I know. The floor is yours, Mr. Beer.
I have a lot to say about the merits of the petition itself. This is a series of questions I was going to have for you.
Mm-hmm.
My comments are really, I'm gonna direct to the petitioner.
Mm-hmm.
You seem like a professional, recorded yourself very well this evening. I apologize if this sounds like a public scolding, but if you read the damning comments from the building commissioner, you deserve a public scolding. Never seen such comments on any petition. He outright says, advises us to deny this request. Not because of the particulars of the zoning, but because the applicant doesn't deal in good faith. I've never seen such a comment. The building inspector should not have to double back on questionable properties after the property has been signed off on, based on legitimate assumptions that compliance will have been compromised. Compromised compliance? Bad behavior should not be rewarded, in my opinion. I rely on the comments and the advice and expertise of our dedicated DPD staff and building commissioner very heavily. We have to make some very tough decisions here at times. And they're unfortunate decisions because people go home upset. But we weigh all the evidence. And we all have to be honest brokers at this table. And if we're not honest brokers, the whole system falls apart. Suggesting to you, sir, according to our staff, we're not dealing with an honest broker. You can do anything you want with a secondary plan. But if such comments come across my desk again, you have no shot with me. No further questions. No, thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Beer. The chair recognizes the vice chairman, Ms. Callen, the floor is yours, sir.
Thank you, through you, Mr. Chairman. As far as what's being proposed, the building design, I'll commend you on it. It's nice setup. I like the layout with the windows and the lighting and all that stuff. It looks great. With what's before us, though, this package is completely incomplete. And quite frankly, I don't even think a continuance should be warranted on this. I think, just first and foremost, you suggested that there's going to be a curb cut going out to Princeton Boulevard.
Mm-hmm.
It's not on the site plan anywhere. Nowhere in that site plan is there any curb cut out to Princeton Boulevard.
There's one.
I didn't see it on what we had. So,
Okay.
Whether it was submitted.
Is there a special application for that?
Yeah, that's on the plans there. It's not on the site plan. Yeah. It's not on the site plan. It's on the, yeah. I didn't see that on there. It's not on the one we have here.
Okay.
So that's number one. Number two, even if you have the site plan there, and I appreciate the design, the way the design's laid out, it looks great. I mean, again, with the car going inside and whatnot on coming off of Princeton Boulevard, though, no way. I'm going to think that we're going to put a curb cut there with the way that layout is, because I understand it's first of all, it's a state highway, so you have to get approval from the state. Secondly, I understand there's other driveways in the area on Princeton Boulevard, but those have driveways that are going all the way in the back. You're talking about putting a curb cut with a driveway with a house right there that's got about, 8 feet, 9 feet coming out to a state highway?
I think we've got about, right now it's on here, it's at 18 feet, I think it is. But the issue is the curb cut on Princeton.
Yes.
That's what I'm hearing. Okay.
Yes. I mean,
So that's a no-go.
that's a no-go for me. That's a no-go for me. There's also, my understanding, I believe there's like a utility pole there as well that's probably going to obstruct it, even if you're there. The existing trees, I thought you said you were going to keep them, right? Or
So I think we can, now that we have this 10-foot setback, I think we can certainly get trees in this area. But it sounds like a lot of that would have to change it.
because there's a couple existing trees there. I don't know how they're overgrown, and I don't know how they're gonna fit if you can keep them there. I mean, it's right there. I don't know how those are gonna exist. I'm presuming the one on Gertrude is going down because you're trying to.
That would have to go.
Yeah. That looks like it's pretty old. And knowing Member McCarthy and his love for shade trees, I'm not sure if that's something he'd be appreciative of. So, and on top of it, and I share the sentiments with Member Briere as well, the comments from the building commissioner. Yes, we've gotten comments from building commissioner before with people, and their dealings with him and what's good and what's bad. And, yeah, this one was pretty damning. And granting a continuance just for you to redesign and come back, I don't think it's gonna help with this. There's a lot here that needs work. And you're going before the planning board too, right?
Well,
You
I
said it for the planning board?
they had told us to come to you guys. We went to the planning board once already. It's a long story, but
I think I would suggest pull it back, withdraw it without prejudice, talk to the neighbors, talk to the neighborhood leaders as Member Program suggested, see if something can come to a compromise, redesign and see if something can be worked out. As stands with this, I just don't, even if we grant the continuance coming back, I don't even know how this would still fly, especially considering the comments of the building commissioner, which again, that's another person to reach out. And I think you got a lot of work ahead, and I think that will probably be my suggestion to that. I don't think a continuance is gonna help. We'll just be right back. I believe we'll just be right back here in the same situation. I'm not the tune from here now with the same concerns.
if we do the redesign, it would still be.
If you do the redesign, but I don't know what the redesign's gonna be, but I'm saying pull it back and just do a total redesign instead of trying to cobble it together. And this will help you out with the planning board too, because you're just gonna go to the planning board on whenever it's scheduled, Monday, next week, and say, oh, we're redesigning the plans, we need another continuance. And we do have to, we have the time limit, so we have to have rulings on this, right? Once the public meeting's open?
If they agree to a continuance in writing, then it extends that period.
Yeah.
So something like 90 days from when it opens, but if in writing they agree to a continuance, then it suspends that.
I just think there's a lot of work that needs to be done, and my suggestion would be withdraw it. Go back to the drawing board, talk to the community, talk to the neighbors. Maybe you'll come up with something that they're like, okay, this may work. You're definitely not going to get I don't think the curb cut on Princeton Boulevard or access to Princeton Boulevard is going to work at all. I just don't see it. But again, that's something you can try to work around. Sure. Again, maybe you can talk to the neighbors. But my suggestion would be, and whatever the board wants to do, continuance or withdrawal, my suggestion is withdraw it and go back to the drawing board and come back when you're ready. That's my opinion. So, thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you, Mr. Callahan. The chair recognizes Mr. McCarthy. Mr. McCarthy, the floor is yours, sir.
Mr. Chairman. I first want to try to understand what you're asking for, because I agree that a continuance or something like a continuance or withdrawal is kind of in order, because you're kind of all over the map with this application if you're going for a three-family.
We're only going for a two-family on this property.
Well, no.
The three-family has nothing to do with this.
You're subdividing an existing lot and creating a smaller lot for a three-family, I think.
Which would be an existing three-family at that time.
Which isn't an existing three-family yet, and we never granted a variance for a three-family.
So the way that we had
I'm kind of
understood
like,
that, that's how we understood.
are we providing a variance for a three-family also?
I don't think, I didn't think so either.
So this is a big question.
Yeah.
What is the existing building supposed to be? Is it a three-family? And if it is a three-family, minimum dwelling unit, lot area per dwelling is 4,000 square feet. So a 12,000 square foot lot for a three-family, that kind of fits. And now you're saying you want to have a three-family of 6,000 square foot lot and build another building next to it that's two-family. That is really nasty. So this application doesn't tell me what you're asking for. Okay. And there's all kinds, so the site plan that's on your architectural plan
Mhm.
isn't the site plan that the comments, I think, were written to describe.
So the site plan
I'm
that-
asking, Francesca, if you know, if the comments that were given to us, that list the variances that kind of, as you guys were trying to figure it out, address the site plan in the architectural set, or address the site plan in the civil set, civil drawing? You know? Because you mentioned the civil drawing here, but you don't mention the architectural.
Let me pull it up.
Dylan wrote the comment.
Yeah, I'm guessing that it does not address the architectural site plan, because you don't do a site plan for submission on an architectural site. You do a site plan and submission for the,
So you don't have this proposed site plan from the civil, that's the problem. Doesn't sound like, because you didn't see the curb cut.
the one is dated, February. Let me have it dated February, anyway, it's not, that's not one.
This one is March 2nd.
The one that we have. Dated.
February 24th.
Well, is there a recent block here? No, yeah, it's February 24th. So we don't have a one that you, so we don't know what you're asking for.
Okay.
We don't know the number of variances you're looking for. We don't have usable open space to find on the lots. See what variances you're asking for there. We don't have the existing building being defined as a potential three-family and looking for a variance for a three-family.
That would be part of this petition,
Well, I'm just saying if you,
or is that do you have to submit two separate?
well, I think you would need, if you're changing an existing two-family to a three-family, you need to ask for variance.
Okay.
So that would be part of a submission. Is that correct, Francesca?
Could you repeat the question, sorry?
If you're changing an existing two-family to a three-family in a traditional two-family district,
Mm-hmm.
you would need to ask for variance from the board to do that.
Well,
Yeah.
it looks like the building commissioner, in his notes, he says he made the decision to let it
Right.
transfer. So I don't know if that's within his purview or not, but
Yeah, I
Maybe you could look into that.
don't want to speak to that because
Building.
I don't have all of the information.
Maybe if this comes back, you can look to that
Yeah.
question from the building commissioner to see if they should be seeking an additional variance from the board.
Yeah, definitely something we can look into.
So, I mean, if you have a three-family and you need 4,000 square feet usable open space for a three-family and you're looking to have half of what's required by zoning, that's a major push for the neighborhood that I don't see how you can ask. That's like crazy, in my mind. Anyway, I don't see a thorough presentation here with, what you're asking. You have a site plan on the architectural set that doesn't have setbacks for parking for drives from the side yard setback or the building. You have a curb cut that's massive on Gertrude Street, so it's another variance that you'd be looking for because we typically only allow, I think, 15-foot curb cuts in this district. I mean, it's all over the place. And to say, you're looking for 10 variances, I kind of think that's a red flag. They should kind of scale it back. That's kind of like, are you really going to try to ask the city to grant that many variances? And in closing, I just want to say, the commissioner's comments are atrocious. I agree. I've never had the commissioner recommend something that harshly to us. He's a good guy, and he definitely works with people. I know, I'm an architect, I've gone in front of him myself.
Yep, I spoke with him, it seems very reasonable.
Very good guy. And for him to write a comment letter like that to the board regarding this application is a problem. I would suggest, before you come back, to solve that one. And say, the commissioner has met when we have ironed things out, there's a misunderstanding and things are moving forward, whatever.
Sure.
But, that's a hard one for us to just say, yeah, no problem, we'll grant the variances over the objections of the building commissioner. That one to me is like, oof, give me a break. I don't know what the right process is to, withdraw without prejudice. I know that it incurs a cost to reapply. But like, you know, how many conditions? I mean, I don't know, Francesca, how the longest one we've ever had that we've extended for continuances. I mean, they've gone out 4 or 5 months,
I understand.
but it could potentially be a continuance and just like kind of move.
Yeah, we would just get a written continuance
Right.
this time. Yeah.
I mean, if we had to. I mean, it does save the applicant the money,
Mhm.
but you've heard fellow board members here saying, you know, this one's a tough one as it is. So I don't know what you want to do, but.
I think we would prefer a continuance, because of some of the, I mean, based on what we've heard, this is a full redesign, it's a full redesign. So, and obviously there are costs with that. I think if we could save some costs on the resubmission by doing the continuance, I think that would probably be more palatable. And I think, you know, we can certainly work, I think, you know, I wish that there was a little bit more, I wish we had been able to speak to some people before this meeting, so I apologize for that. And so we would certainly have some meetings with, some of the voices, some of the people that we heard concerns from, to try to come up with a new option. And it sounds like there's some work that needs to be done with the building commissioner as well. That, you know, before we come back here, we will have to resolve those issues. We won't waste your time again, without resolving.
Okay. By the way, I also live in the neighborhood, not too far away.
Thank you, Mr. McCarthy. I just wanted to add, sir, you've been very professional, cordial, you know, we respect that a lot. We appreciate that. I know I appreciate, I'm sure my colleagues do too. And for the neighbors in attendance tonight, thank you again for your comments and input. We really look to your input, and we weigh all the decisions, not solely based on the input of the residents, but you know, your voice is, it's definitely heard. So, you know, thank you again. Everyone's very civil tonight and respectful. We appreciate that. So just saying that, sir, I think you heard the wishes of the board, the comments. I think some of the suggestions and ideas they have is meet with the neighbors. Again, you have like 2 neighborhood leaders here. Obviously, whole redesign or scale down the project. I'm sure that would help. And then, same like my colleagues, I think the comments from the commissioner, surprising to me too. I've, you know, besides Mr. McCarthy and Mr. Callahan, I've been on the board over 10 years, and I've never heard such a negative, I guess, comment from the expert, you know, kind of, for the city here. So if you hash all those details out, you know, that's, I think it'll be something that'll be palatable for everyone involved. So your options tonight, sir, are you can go through with a vote. You can ask for continuance, or you can ask for a withdrawal without prejudice. Those are your options as an applicant. So what would you like to do?
I think we would prefer the continuance,
Okay.
and then, but, so would we have to go to the meeting next week and ask for a continuance as well, or do we just withdraw from the plan?
That's the planning board.
Yeah, they have their own purview.
Yeah, so we should
You
do the
have to
same,
go
go
there.
there and say we would like.
Explain whatever you got to explain to them. All right, Mr. Callahan, did you have a comment?
But I think you'd have to go to this planning board and ask for a continuance.
We'd have to do the same thing next
But you're redesigning everything, I think is what you're saying, so what you submitted.
Yeah, so we'd have to go to that meeting and tell them the same thing. We're gonna.
Can I
Um,
And you could say that, I think, upfront before.
Yeah,
Mr. Bear, did you have a comment, sir?
apologize.
Yeah, go,
With staff.
well, let's have a conversation, then we're all here.
A point of clarification for myself and for the assembled neighbors here. They're requesting a continuance. What are we continuing? What exactly are we continuing? Are we shooting this thing down so that he's gonna start again? That's what I think. What is he continuing? Thought we threw a wet blanket on this thing.
If I could answer, I think the request is to continue the application for development of some type on this site to redevelop it into 2 lots, whatever that is. But that's all the continuance would be, to develop something there, subdivide the lot and develop it, whatever that is. So it's really open to what the development is, but it'd be a subdivision to 2 lots.
Brings up another question, Fran. If there's a total rehab and total redesign of the situation, what's been posted, is not gonna be, what I'm presuming has been posted now is not gonna be what's gonna be posted later. How does that work if it's gonna be a total, different
So,
redesign?
if the use is the same, the proposed use is the same, the design can change. The initial notification requirements were met. If it's continued and you state that it's going to be continued to a date certain and you state that new date, that serves as the notification today, and all requirements are met.
Okay, just double checking.
If they were proposing something that was materially different, so right now if they're proposing a 2-family and then they said, okay, we're gonna go back to the drawing board, we want a continuance, and they come back with like a 10-family, that's like, that is a material change.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep. And, one other comment, I know one of the, members of the public mentioned about the notice thing. If you see something like that, just contact DPD, let them, they can contact you, something.
Sure, yeah.
They look at the notice. I'm not saying, I don't know what happened here. but-
Questions about any notices at all, you can always, about development, you can call the city and we'll help you out.
Don't we have to provide proof that we sent them out?
Yes,
Okay.
yeah.
I thought
Yeah, but I think the question, there was a comment.
the envelope was not clear.
That it wasn't clear, that it was.
That was definitely not the
It didn't
intent.
really look like a
Right.
notice from about this, that it was kind of, you know, that, and, I just want to direct that to the public, that if you have any questions on that. Okay.
Kind of look like,
I know what you're talking about, yeah,
Yeah.
I see. If the public had any questions about that, you can direct them to DPD.
Yeah.
That was my only, I'm not casting aspersions or saying anything about that, whether the notice was faulty or improper that was sent out. Just saying, for their purposes, they can contact you.
All right. I just want to make a point of clarification for my colleagues, because, you know, some people have been on the board over 10 years, some people have been on the board a couple years, some under a year. Whatever motion we have on the table, people can vote in favor or against. So if you don't agree with a particular motion, you can vote it up or down. Doesn't matter what the motion is, just a point of information for my colleagues. So right now, we're gonna have a motion to continue the matter. And then, Ms. Igliana, when's the next available open spot for a meeting?
Well, let's talk, how much time are we talking? How much time are we gonna need?
Did I hear you say 90 days was the maximum?
So you, in this case, would, we can send you a continuance request form, and on that form, when you sign it, there is language that says that you acknowledge that the deadline under chapter 48, the timeline that they establish as to when the board needs to vote, which is typically, I think, 90 or 100 days, you are acknowledging that that is going to be extended because you've requested a continuance. So we will send that to you in that way. That addresses that concern about that window during which the board needs to vote. So we can send that to you.
Okay.
The next available date is November 27th. Yeah.
So you want to go, let's go to the new year then?
We got December 11th and January 8th and 22nd.
Oh, sorry, how long did you want?
I think that makes sense. I mean.
So, yeah, November 27th, December 11th, and then the new year, January 8th, January 22nd.
I think that's more realistic.
Okay,
Why
so,
don't we do January, 8th?
All right, if there's no other comments from my colleagues, let's have a motion to continue.
I want to make sure it's subject to the petitioner signing the continuance, the written continuance.
Yep.
Acknowledgement.
mhm.
All right, if we could have a motion, please.
Through you, Mr. Chairman, I'd like to make a motion for ZBA 2023-13 for variance. Applicant Edson dos Santos at 330 Princeton Boulevard to be continued to January 8th, 2024.
Second.
All right, motion by Mr. McCarthy, second by Mr. Proko. Can we roll call, please?
Chairman Peck,
Approve, continue to January 8th.
Member Callahan,
Approve continuance to January 8th, 2024.
Member McCarthy,
Approve continuance, January 8th, 2024.
Member Briere,
Approve.
Member Proko,
Approve continuance January 8th, 2024.
Member Anderson.
Approve.
All right, sir, the matter has been continued. Just folks know that this is a public notice, there'll be no other notice going out. We'll see you on January 8th.
Thank you very much. Well, you said we should vote it opposite. How do we do that?
The hearing closed for this petition, sir.
It's been continued to January 8th.
Can't vote.
Okay, yeah. Oh, no.
We don't get it. So the same thing as what we have with planning board next month.
There is a notice to the beginning of the board
I know, and even though it's a point of clarity.
Thank you very much.
Yeah, thank you.
I do like that. No, you can have it, by the way.
They made notes, I feel like he's wasting time. I feel bad. Don't think it's fair to him to spend the money, but do another plan on 12. I feel bad because it's still gonna.
Thank you all for coming tonight. Thank you, folks. Thank you.
It doesn't add up.
Thank you, folks.
But it's saving some.
And they have to.
Thank you, folks.
Thank you guys, appreciate it.
Thank you for coming out tonight. Thank you.
I know. We still have a public hearing.
Thank you. Thank you. We have another hearing coming up, folks, for another application, unfortunately. Thank you, folks, for coming out. We have quite a few applicants tonight. Folks.
Excuse me?
We just have a hearing. We have other applications coming in. Yeah, we have a hearing. Thank you.
I mentioned your property, and I said, you know.
We have another hearing coming up. I'm sorry, folks. I'm sorry. We have another hearing coming up. I apologize, folks. Thank you for coming out tonight. Thank you. Thank you, Fran. Thank you, Dennis. Thank you.
Folks, 70 Westford, you want to tell them?
All right, folks. We're gonna take one item out of order. We're gonna take one item out of order, please. So the next item on the agenda is ZBA-2023-27. The petition is a variance. The applicant is Joe Lee, property located at 31 Westford Street, section 5.1, section 6.1. Joe Lee has applied to the zoning board of appeals seeking variance approval to construct a new mixed-use structure at 31 Westford Street. The proposed structure includes 52 residential units and a 15,570 square foot of commercial space. The subject property is located in the urban mixed-use UMU zoning district. The proposal requires variance approval per section 5.1 for relief from the floor area ratio FAR requirements, per section 6.1 for relief from the off-street parking requirements, and any other relief required in the laws ordinance. Good evening, Councilor.
Good evening. First of all, you're all going straight to heaven.
Thank you.
My name is Kevin Murphy. I represent Joe Lee, who is coming here right now. Joe Lee is a successful businessman in the city of Lowell. He owns the China Star Restaurant on out of Middlesex Street, just before the Rourke Bridge. He also owns a building on 31 Westford Street, which is now utilized as a recycling facility. I really think that when the legislature passed the MBTA communities zoning bill, they had a building like this in mind. It's a dilapidated, outdated building. It's located less than 500 feet from the Gallagher parking lot and the terminal. And my client proposes to renovate that building into 52 units of residential housing, and on the first floor have a restaurant. he already operates a restaurant. He knows how to do that. He wants to operate a restaurant at this facility also. The restaurant that he's talking about is going to be really designed to be more of a restaurant that services the residents of the building, the neighbors, and it's going to be a takeout restaurant. If you notice on the site plan is that there's parking out front for 15-minute parking that we're going to have to petition the city of Lowell to get. We would use for takeout, quick parking to go in and take out. I think it's going to be a great development for the neighborhood also because it's going to help out the surrounding businesses that are there. There are going to be more residents that are going to frequent the variety store that's across the street. And obviously, there's another store down where the gas station is. The land, we're lucky is that we don't have a lot of space for landscaping on this project because of the size of the building and the size of the lot. But we're very fortunate that right diagonal from this development is Armory Park. Dinosaurs like me remember when an armory was there, and it was taken down, and it is nice green space for the area. We've already submitted our plans to the planning board. They've vetted all of the issues relative to the building, access to the building, storage, landscaping, and whatever. They've had some conditions that they've had relative to a stop sign, relative to stormwater management. And we now have to come before the zoning board of appeals for two variances. First of all, we have to get a variance relative to floor area ratio. And the second thing is we have to get a variance relative to off-street parking. We have our engineer here who's going to address those two issues, but I would like to just let you know is that one of the conditions of the planning board approval was that we would enter into an agreement with the Lowell Regional Transit Authority that we would have a minimum of 28 parking spaces available at their garage. And we have had our negotiations with the LRTA, and we have a letter from the LRTA. It's going to be the same proposal, the same agreement that Sal Lapoli has with the Thorndike Street property, is that they're not going to set aside individual parking spots for the residents or for the people that come to the restaurant. What they're going to do, though, is they're going to give them or sell them monthly passes to the residents. They say there's plenty of parking available there. They'll give them monthly parking spaces, and they're going to work with us to reopen that gate on the Chelmsford Street side. Exactly. Living in the Highlands, I've always wanted to be able to access that garage from Chelmsford Street, but you can't do it now because it's locked up. But they're going to work with us because just think, if somebody going to the restaurant parks in the garage, it would be so much better for them to walk right out of that exit onto Westford Street to access the restaurant or the residences. So, it's a $15 million investment. We're working with the city also to hopefully get funding to set aside 25% of these units for affordable housing, affordable home ownership. The city manager is a firm believer in home ownership, and we're looking to work with the city to get funding to set aside 25% for home ownership. It would be easier for us to do because it's four stories residential, so we could set aside one story as home ownership and condominiumize it. And then if we decided to do rental or home ownership on the others, we could do that. So we're looking to begin this proposal as soon as possible. My client is keenly interested in improving that area. And I'd just like to turn to our engineer. If you could just give a brief explanation to the board about the floor area ratio and the parking, because you've done a complete parking analysis. It's been included in the package, and he's actually the one that did it. Go ahead.
Sure. David Fieldsen, Landflex Engineering, work with Matt Hammer, who can't be here this week. But floor area ratio and parking are the variances for which we come in. And it's an exciting project, but I won't go on too long. So late evening of the floor area ratio, it's a 5-story building, and the building is proposed to cover the entirety of the lot. Therefore, the floor area ratio is 5.2, 5 stories, plus the 0.2 for the retail. However, there were some concerns brought up from the planning board meeting and some comments from DPD about the retail, the entrance. So we're removing the retail, and that's just going to be storage that is going to accommodate the residential and the restaurant. So the floor area ratio is going to be 5 proposed instead of 4.
Can I just stop you there? We're just eliminating that small piece of retail on the Howard Street side. We're still going to have the retail on the Westford Street, the restaurant. This was just another area that we thought we could utilize, but the planning board didn't think it was accessible. So we have eliminated it as a retail space, and we're going to have it as storage.
That's correct, on the garage level. And I just want to walk through the parking calculation, just to make sure that we're all at the same level. The DPD listed a requirement for 133 spaces at the week, but we've received special permit approval from the planning board to reduce the residential and the restaurant requirements by 50%. So from floors 2 through 5 are going to be the residential with 52 units. So 2 units per or 2 parking spaces per dwelling unit. So a total of 104 spaces required. That's reduced now to 52. And then with the inclusion of car share spaces, which there are 5 car share spaces that we're proposing within the garage. The car share spaces have a coefficient of 4 to 1 within the zoning bylaws. So the 5 car share spaces are the equivalent of 20 spaces. So that creates 32 spaces required total for the residential. For the restaurant parking, we had a special permit approval from the planning board that reduces the requirement from 1 space per 100 square feet to 1 space per 500 square feet of floor area. And we also had approval for a non-residential requirement reduced by 50% when within 1,500 feet of a public garage. So that brings the restaurant space total to 16. And then 2 retail use parking spaces. We're removing the retail use. So therefore, that would be a total of 48 non-car share spaces required. And we're providing 26 and have an agreement out for 28 within the parking garage. That's the walkthrough of the parking calculation. I just want to make sure that we were interpreting those numbers correctly.
The parking garage actually says that they have plenty of parking, but they can certainly accommodate a minimum of the 28, which the planning board wanted us to at least guarantee the 28. But they do have ample parking in that garage. It's just not used like it used to be.
That covers the 2 variants. If there's anything else, questions or any other discussion about the site plan, I'd be happy to discuss it.
Thank you, sir. Mr. Murphy?
I think this is something, and I know the city, I'm not going to speak for the city, but I know they're close to advancing this zoning, and I think you're going to see more and more of these developments growing in this area along Appleton Street, along Middlesex Street, and I think it's going to make a real difference for the city of Lowell. Not only is it going to improve that lower Westford Street area, but it's going to provide the affordable housing that we so desperately need in the city of Lowell. And this is 52 units of, when I call it affordable housing, I'd like to call it workforce housing, is that it's going to be able to accommodate firefighters, police officers, school teachers, but then hopefully the 25% will be able to service low-income residents in that area of the building. So that's our presentation. Like I say, we received a unanimous decision from the planning board to proceed with this development, and now we're looking for the two variances from the Zoning Board of Appeals that would finalize our efforts and be able to proceed with the development.
Thank you, Mr. Murphy, for your presentation. So, thank you, sir. We'll open up the hearing to the public now. Anyone wishing to speak in opposition? In opposition? In opposition? Seeing none, that portion of the public hearing is closed. Anyone wishing to speak in favor? In favor? In favor? Seeing none, public hearing is closed. We're going to open question comments to the board now. The chair recognizes Mr. Prokop.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. This is a very nice design, I have to say, and that neighborhood, does need it. I volunteer with cleaning up the city, and it happened to be in that area, and someone, as we were cleaning up Amory Park, someone said, it's an eyesore. I wish they could do something with it. And here it is. This would definitely benefit the neighborhoods. And I know that you stated in your presentation that the way the building is designed, that the usable space, I notice it's a minimum amount of trees and landscaping. Is there any room that maybe that there could be a little more,
One of the conditions of the planning board grant of approval that we would work with DPD to intent to design a landscaping plan. And because it's difficult there's not a lot of space for us to develop it, but there is a condition that we will work with DPD to try and improve the landscaping as much as we can.
Perfect, yeah. I would endorse that condition from a zoning perspective as well. I'm impressed with this. I think it would be a very valuable enhancement to the neighborhood. And with all respect to Mr. Lee, I appreciate his service to this community with China Star and the other businesses that you own. So I don't think that you would take up anything that would be counterintuitive, so I don't have any additional comments or questions. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you, Mr. Prokop. The chair recognizes the vice chairman, Ms. Callen. The floor is yours, sir.
Thank you, through you, Mr. Chairman. Very, very well put to presentation, council. Thank you. Very, very much appreciated. I tend to agree right off the bat when you said it. I think the new transportation overlay district, this project is built for that whole purpose. I think the state was looking for something like this, and I commend that Mr. Lee has been a very well-known businessman. You did a great job with your restaurants and other businesses, and you're here investing in the city with this, and I commend you. This is going to be a fantastic project. Only thing I really had was as far as the residential aspects of it, I know there's going to be some possibility of property ownership or condo in it, but also rental. Is there any on-property management that's going to be available, or how is that going to be operating?
I guess that all depends on whether we go with we're going to have some on-property management. I think that storage area is going to be probably converted to office space also.
Yeah.
We had originally entitled as retail space, but that's off the books after the planning board But I think that we will have on property. We're going to have to if it's rental.
Yeah.
Even if it's a condominiumized, we're gonna have to have some type of
Well,
management.
if it's condominium wise, they're gonna
Right,
regulate
exactly.
themselves in the condo.
Yeah.
But I was thinking of the retail thing, because you're certainly also gonna have, people getting packages, getting mail, stuff like that. There's gotta be a designated area for that to happen. I guess that retail area would be a good opportunity to do that, so. Okay. The one thing I was like, that piqued my interest, and I don't think, this is probably a first for the zoning board that I've seen this, I don't remember, but the car share.
Yeah, I know. It's a very esoteric calculation that's made, and I flunked long division in the second grade, so I defer to my engineer all the time because I still can't understand it, but with those car shares, we get to reduce the parking requirements significantly, which helps out this development, and I defer to him for any questions.
Do we have any other car shares in the city? I mean, this is the first one I remember coming before us, so I mean, I don't know of any other ones in the city.
It's the first one I saw.
Yeah. But that's fantastic. I mean, I think that's a great addition and something that, you know, will have to be monitored as well, obviously. I know that whatever company is can be involved with that. I know the city had its trials and tribulations with bike share in the past.
The green bikes and the blue bikes.
It didn't go very well. Many of the bikes getting thrown into the canals and stuff. But I don't think a car can get thrown into a canal.
No, I think a car will definitely. Can you?
Yeah, no, and just to clarify, it's gonna be, for the residents of the building.
Oh, okay, okay.
Yeah, it's not gonna be like a public car share. There's gonna be, it's like a locked garage that, you know, you have to have a key fob to open the garage. As you
Oh, to get into that car share. Oh,
It's a
okay.
secure-
All right, so it's not open to the
garage.
public,
No,
like
it's
you
not
can
gonna be
just go
open
in and, all right,
For the use of the residents.
good.
So if you wanna, you know.
That's fantastic.
to
All right.
Nashua, come back.
But, yeah,
Don't need a car.
I think this is a great project, and again, yeah, Council, I think you hit the nail on the head, this is gonna be great for that area, for the transportation overlay district that's coming in, and the zoning of that, and I wish you the best of luck, Mr. Lee, I think you're gonna succeed, like you always do.
Thank you, Mr. Callahan. The chair recognizes Mr. McCarthy. Mr. McCarthy, the floor is yours, sir.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I'm so excited about this project. The Rook garage is closed. Gallagher garage, so two garages, and the reason 500 spaces in the Rook garage is closed, they maintained it, there's no demand, and there isn't enough demand for the Gallagher terminal.
Right.
So right there, in that location, we have over 500 spaces underutilized or not utilized, which is a killer. So you have plenty of parking. Easy to see the parking being a success, and potentially a driver to help open the Rook. I don't know when that's going to happen. That's going to be a bit of a...
Yeah, it's gonna be a challenge, because they need one of the biggest problems, they need a security guard there.
You have to justify it.
Yeah, but.
Because they don't have demand.
Yeah, right, but hopefully we can generate enough car traffic with the restaurant and the residents to justify having a security.
It'll help.
Yeah.
It'll help speed that up, because it's crazy to have a parking garage in that location that doesn't have a demand.
Right.
But hopefully that'll be the case with this project, or maybe it'll help other projects come along. There's only two variances you're looking for, and one of them is parking, which is a easy one for me, only because I know that Brook garage is right there, and then the other one is the FAR. So this is a tall building. How does it relate to the other buildings nearby?
There are not many multi-story buildings. Most of them are one-story in that neighborhood.
Well, I think we have a couple on the corner of West Ventura.
Yeah, we have some multifamilies, but I'm just saying in the strict vicinity of this building, there isn't.
So this will be the tallest building.
Yeah.
It won't be taller than.
But I really think, Mr. McCarthy, once they approve that the transportation overlay district, I think Appleton Street and Middlesex Street is going to have so many more of these type of developments, because it just makes sense with the parking garage there, the transportation center for everybody. I think this is going to be the first of several high-rise buildings in that area.
Right, and I think, Fran, on the Lowell Ford group, there's a site right there, as you're going, that wonderful.
On Thorndike Street?
Yes,
In the courthouse.
right.
Which one?
It's a city-owned property on Thorndike Street next to Middlesex Street, like near the kind of gateway to Cambodia town.
Yeah,
There's a city-owned parcel there, so we use that parcel as a test site
yeah,
for development.
yeah.
And it was not dissimilar from this proposal.
Right, it would be great for the two of you to team up and develop that.
Yeah.
Well, I've already been approached by another person who wants to develop
I'm just saying.
on, right at the beginning, you know where the lot overpass starts to go up on Middlesex Street? Right there, where our police, maintenance facility is.
Okay.
Right there. I've had somebody approach me about that, so I'm just saying is that once that district, you're going to see incredible, development in that lower Middlesex, Westford, and Appleton Street area, I believe. I think it's gonna be terrific.
I'm hoping, because that's where it should be, because that's where there's no cars needed.
Yeah.
You know, you can get on off the train, you can work at the courthouse, you can go in and out with the, garage right there, so it's perfect. I didn't see the comments or the, conditions that the planning board set.
I have them right here if you.
And I was just wondering, typically when
Yeah,
that
when they
happens,
go before 2 months.
we can condition our approval that we will adopt the conditions. So maybe I could just read those, and
Sure.
if the rest of the board wants to support that.
You see Mr. Frechette moved and it was seconded.
The applicant shall install a stop sign per the traffic engineer's comments. 2, the applicant shall seek city council approval for the 1 15-minute parking space. 2, cantilever pump outs, and 3, installation of street trees, which there are 2 street trees on Howard. Is that Howard?
No, it'll be on Westford.
No, there's 2 street trees right here, yep.
Oh, I'm sorry, is it on
Oh,
Howard?
It's on Westford.
It is
Westford,
I'm
that's
sorry,
what-
yeah,
yeah.
you're correct.
Yeah.
Thank God,
Yeah, I know, exactly. You won't see them on Howard.
thank God.
Yeah.
So there are trees.
Yes, there are
If
2.
we can get that. Anyway.
Incredible amount of 2.
Anyway, the applicant shall work with DPD to finalize the landscaping plan to enhance the facade of the building. Fran, can we add?
Yeah.
The applicant shall work with DPD to finalize the landscaping plan to enhance the facade of the building and the sustainability director?
Sure.
Because aren't we supposed to have the sustainability director?
Yes, although they're more focused, first of all, I don't know that there's anyone who's been hired yet. So that would potentially be a hang up.
Might be too early.
Number 1. Number 2, that person, I'd have to look more closely, but I believe that person will be most focused on energy, sustainability related things, not
Trees
as
are,
much.
trees are related to energy for
That's
most
true.
people in areas that have too much pavement, so.
Absolutely, but I think that probably the best person to review it, or the best people would be, Jess, who is a landscape
I agree.
architect. Yeah,
Right. I just want to raise that.
yeah, that's a good idea though.
The applicant shall adhere to section 6.1.6 relative to the reduction of non-residential parking requirement. 5, the applicant shall adhere to section 6.1.5 relative to car share parking spaces. 6, the applicant shall comply with stormwater management requirements of the Lowell Regional Wastewater Utility. And 7, the applicant shall provide a parking agreement with the LRTA for a minimum of 26 parking spaces. Is it 26 parking spaces that you're short, or is it 22 parking?
I believe we're short 26, but they asked for us 28, so we.
No, 26 is what they asked for. Isn't
Yeah,
it
we're
20?
short 24. They have,
I thought the math was a little off, but we're calling it 26 anyway.
yeah.
But, sorry, okay.
I think they just call it.
So I would suggest that we, if we go forward tonight, adopt the planning board conditions, so there's 7 of them. And I think, I don't need to read that out again.
Fran's
Thank you
got
for
them.
doing that.
Yeah.
And that's all I had, except, I'm so excited with the project. It's so tremendous. Please build it.
For what we've gone through, we're gonna build it.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. McCarthy. The chair recognizes Mr. Brier. Mr. Brier, the floor is yours, sir.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. This petition represents perfect combination of a beautifully crafted project, a desperately needed neighborhood revitalization. I wholeheartedly support it. I look forward to its construction. I thank you for your further investment in Lowell.
Thank you, Mr. Brier. The chair recognizes Mr. Nixon. Mr. Nixon, the floor is yours, sir.
Yeah, I think this is a great project. We've heard so many times, even today, the board, that Lowell has been unaffordable, and it has been for the last 3 years. And the fact that now you're giving Lowell affordable housing, is what we need, and the fact that it's right near the train station as well. It's great. I think this project is, spot on, to be honest with you. And it gives, 52 units?
52.
I mean, that's incredible. Yeah, I support it 100%, yeah.
Thank you, Mr. Nicholson. Counselor, Mr. Lee.
George.
Oh.
Oh, no, you started with George, right?
I started with
Okay,
that, yeah.
sorry, I thought you started with me, my apologies.
Sorry.
It is a long night.
I'll keep it brief, though. Mr. Murphy, Mr. Lee, amazing project. You're not just a proven and established businessman, but I've gotten a lot of calls, and I've seen it firsthand. You're quite philanthropic and charitable, and helping with a lot of different causes. So thank you for that. And as my colleague said, sir, you could have went and opened another business or this mixed business retail resident thing anywhere else, in Boston and Burlington, but you continue to grow your business here in the city. To me, your current business, China Star, it's the same to me as like a Cobblestone or a La Bonice, it's really a staple in the city. I think a lot of people within the city and outside, in terms of tourism and economy, they come to visit just for that alone. So thank you for your continued investment in the city. And I think this project would just add to the successful business and the model you have. So thank you. And I'll support this as well. So thank you.
Thank you.
If there's no further comments from my colleagues, we'll move forward with a motion.
Mr. Chairman, I'd like to make a motion for ZBA 2023-27 for variances at 31 Westford Street, for a variance for floor area per dwelling unit and for parking. Floor area ratio per dwelling unit and, floor area ratio and parking. And to have the condition that we adopt the 7 conditions set by the planning board.
Second.
Motion by Mr. McCarthy, second by Mr. Prokop. Can I have a roll call, please?
Chairman Peck,
Approve of conditions.
Member Callahan,
Approve of conditions.
Member McCarthy,
Approve with conditions.
Member Briere,
Approve.
Member Prokop,
Approve with conditions?
Member Nickerson.
Approve with conditions.
All right, you've been approved. Thank you
very much. I really think this is going to be a real change for that
Be an amazing project, yeah, agreed,
part of the city.
agreed.
Thank you very much for your support. Thank you.
Good night.
Thank you. Mr. Lee, thank you. Thank you. All right, moving on to our next item on our agenda. We have ZBA-2023-25, a special permit. The applicant is Yong Zhang, property located at 1270 Westford Street. The applicant has applied to the Lowell Zoning Board of Appeals seeking special permit approval to erect an eternally illuminated sign at 1270 Westford Street. The property is located in the regional retail RR zoning district. The proposal requires special permit approval for section 6.3 for internally illuminated signage and any other relief required under Lowell zoning. Good evening, sir, and thank you again. I know it's been a long night. Thank you.
That's okay. Come on.
Do you want to tell us about your project, sir?
Okay. My name is Yong Zhang. I reside from Sunram, Chelmsford, which is a sign store in Chelmsford. We serve this low Chelmsford, Billerica area for making signs. And I represented Nguyen Ha, the owner of the restaurant 488 the address is 1270 West First Street, and so the customer wants to make a new internally illuminated sign here, and this building, I can show you on my cell phone. This building used to have this light box for each of the leasing the part. I mean, but the problem is you can see the porch part. From this angle, we can see it. The porch part will block the light box. So because like when people make signs, we are supposed we will think that we want to make the signs stand out the building a little bit. So some customers just complain when they walk from the sideway, they cannot see the sign because the porch will block the sign a little bit. So this customer wants to make this new channel letters on the roof above the old light box, and the new sign will not block the window, will not block anybody beside it. So we want to just apply for a special permit for this new sign. So and also about the installation, because the sign will be installed on the roof with a little slope on there, and so we make 2 sets of this triangle bracelet with steel angles, so on the roof. So the shape will be come back.
Okay.
Okay.
It's fine, like that was
Yeah.
fine. Yeah.
So this will be the triangle shape on the roof. So it's something like this is the slope, and we make the triangle go this way, and the new sign will facing out. So then with this ceiling block glue to protect the roof. So this is how we're supposed to install the sign. So yeah, I'm done. So
Thank you, sir, for your presentation. Now we'll open up the hearing to the public. Anyone wishing to speak in opposition, restriction, in opposition? In opposition, seeing none, that portion of the public hearing is closed. Anyone wishing to speak in favor? In favor? In favor? Seeing none, that public hearing is closed. We're going to open question and comments from the board. The chair recognizes the vice chairman, Mr. Callahan. The floor is yours, sir.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Quick question, Fran, for Fran. I didn't see that we had any comments from DPD issued on this. I just want to check with you to make sure. So everything, I'm going to presume that DPD doesn't have any real issues with the project, if that's the case. So just double checking with that. So I love 488 or 588. Is it supposed to be 5?
well, the owner told me there's a 488. So yeah,
It has a little,
is good. Yeah.
it has a little accent to it. I don't,
Yeah.
But the signs look great, and yeah, from what you showed, yeah, it's going to be, it's definitely needed because it's obviously blocking out the initial sign that's there. But I just want to make sure this. So are you going to have both signs there, or just the, or are you taking out the?
I think both signs will be there.
Both signs.
Yeah,
Okay.
the old sign was belong to the building, part of the building. So the old signs will be still there.
Okay. So it's installed in the building.
Yes, it's
Okay.
just above the building, above the old sign.
Yeah. Okay. So yeah, so you have both signs. You just got this. So this is just an addition to that, so that anybody can see.
Yes.
You from the.
Yeah.
Okay. And the hours of the business. You know what the hours are? Just
the hours.
The hours of the business. So we like to know what the hours are. So for the internal illumination, and how to keep them on and off?
Usually, I don't know how they, set up the switch. We already have this, switch with the clock.
Yeah.
So we can set up like, my store is, just I set it up as, turn on at, 6:30 and turn off at, around 10.
Okay.
So, I don't know, I didn't ask
We-
him.
We just do the standard,
Yeah,
whatever we
sunrise
do.
to sunset.
Sunrise, 1 hour before sunrise to 1 hour after business close or sunset.
Or what are
Yeah.
what are contracts?
She said, I remember she had a new hour. Let's see. Oh, this is their new hour.
Monday through Sunday, 10 to 10.
Yeah.
Okay.
10:30.
So I guess we can say
10:30 to 10. Yeah. So.
11 PM, so,
Somebody-
yeah. And, yeah, we just want to do that just to make sure it's shut up, because obviously you're gonna have, I don't know if those are those residentials building, behind where the sign is, are there people living on the top there, or?
I think they are okay. We will not block the window.
Yeah, not-
Lower than that.
Yeah,
and,
not much concern about blocking the window, it's the illumination that.
The glare.
The glare coming out of
The light box, channel letters, I mean, they are supposed to have this, we call it a return, like, this is the box.
Yeah.
And, this is a face.
Okay.
So back, aluminum back.
Okay.
Aluminum return, aluminum trim.
So it shouldn't affect anything
No,
going
no,
back, okay.
we're not,
Because I was gonna suggest maybe, just in case you do
yeah.
a possible, like, administrative review, but, I mean, I'll listen to my other fellow board members on that. I don't know if I'm not sure if it's necessary or not, but I also don't want, whoever's residing there, when the lights are there, whoever's residing there, all of a sudden having complaints about it.
I don't think that it will affect, other people from the sideway or on the back.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah, only facing the street.
Okay. All right, and about the other sign, so you're putting in the other illuminated sign and changing that as well, the one that's on the stanchion, right?
Oh, yes.
Which looks pretty straightforward as well, so. Okay, I don't have any further questions, so thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. The chair recognizes Mr. McCarthy. Mr. McCarthy, the floor is yours, sir.
Great looking sign. Are we increasing the square footage of signage that then would be more than what's allowable for zoning? Or are we just approving an internally illuminated sign?
Just this internally, illuminated sign. This is a new sign. It's,
Because we're adding signage. And
Yeah,
so I just
adding
wanted to
signage.
understand that we are going beyond what's allowed by
remember
zoning.
the percentage of, the whole area, the sign will block. But,
There's a lot of signage on the front of it.
yeah, I remember it's only a small sign, so you see the face of the building.
Yeah, no, I understand. It's,
yeah,
1.5
so-
by probably 8 feet or so, so it's like maybe.
The size,
square feet.
what's the size? The size is 73 by 18 inches.
Or 17,
18
okay.
inches, it's just this size.
So it's probably closer to 10 square feet.
Yeah.
So it's an add of 10
Yeah,
square feet.
73 is, kind of, like.
Not
from
much.
the other- No, it's a small size.
All right.
As, from the sign, so yeah, it's a small size.
Good. Okay. And the pylon sign is not increasing in size, that's basically the
No.
same that it was. So.
Yeah, the pylon sign will, they just want to
Yep.
change the new face.
Yep.
Replace the after the more than,
Yeah.
I think more than 10 years, the colors fade away, so.
I don't see any problem with this. We just have one condition that the applicant will, have the hours of illumination to 1 hour before sunrise and to 11 PM. Leave the hours of illumination. You can have it on in the morning if you want to during
Yeah.
the day, but you have to shut it off by 11.
Actually, I think, I can, talk to the customer, to ask her about how she set up the hours, because, we have I remember they have the clock, the clock can control the time, they just turn off I think when they close
If
at
you-
10.
Right, if you want to close it at 10, but it won't be more than 11 p.m. So you can shut it off early if you want to. You
Yes.
want to have that as a condition.
Yeah.
That's all.
Yeah.
You know, no further questions. That's great. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Conti. Chair, now, Mr. Breer, the floor is yours, sir.
No questions.
Thank you, Mr. Nixon, the floor is yours, sir. Mr. Prokop, the floor is yours.
No questions.
Again, good looking sign, I get it, marketing, it's an upgrade, update. So it makes sense to me because, to me, Friday is only growing and thriving, so that's why they want to make this new sign and get more marketing out there, so kudos. So those are my only comments. We'll move forward with the vote, and then you're okay with the condition about the hours of illumination, correct, sir? Yes. All right, can I have a motion, please?
Mr. Chairman, I'd like to make a motion for ZBA 2023-25 for a special permit for the applicant Young Zhang at 1270 Westford Street for an internal illuminated sign with the condition that the hours of illumination will be from 1 hour before sunrise to 11 p.m.
Motion by Mr. McCarthy, second by Vice Chairman Mr. Callahan, for a roll call, please.
Chairman Peck,
Approve a condition.
Member Callahan,
Approve with conditions.
Member McCarthy,
Approve the condition.
Member Briere,
Approval.
Member Prokop,
Approve with conditions.
Member Nickerson.
All right, you've been approved, sir. Wish you best of luck. Thank you for your
Thank
progress.
you so much.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you for coming. I know it's been a long night. Thank you. Thanks for your patience.
Yes.
All right, moving on to our next item on our agenda. We have ZBA dash 2023-29. Petition is a variance. Applicant is Gladys Cruz. Property located at 7030 to 732 Lawrence Street. The applicant has applied to Lowe's Zoning Board of Appeals, seeking a variance approval to convert the existing structure at 730 to 732 Lawrence Street from a 2 multifamily to a 3 family. So the subject property is located in the traditional mixed-use TMU zoning district. Their proposal requires variance approval for section 5.1 for relief from the minimum lot area per dwelling unit and minimum usable open space for dwelling unit requirements, for section 6.1 for relief from the minimum off-street parking requirements, and any other relief required in the laws or ordinance. Good evening, sir, and thank you for your patience, folks. Yeah, you want to tell us about your project, sir?
Patience and wisdom. Good evening, Mr. Chairman, board members. My name is Hushman Afshar from Taj Engineering LLC. My office is here in Bull. The owner and applicant is requesting to convert these. Currently, the 2 floors are occupied and there are 2 different units. But the 3rd floor, which has been remodeled before the current owner owned it, to a 3rd unit, and the current owner and applicant would like to legalize it to a 3rd unit. The building itself, the house itself, was built in 1900, so it's basically whatever we see that is not conforming to the current zoning dimensional requirements. It's really existing non-conforming. One thing I noticed in the notice, we do have open space, over 1,300 square foot of open space. We have open space in the back, we have open space in the front, and a little bit on the side here, but however, it amounts to a little over 1,300 square foot of open space. The occupants of these units are mainly sponsored by 1st floor and 2nd floor by sponsored by agencies like Community Teamwork of Lowell, CTI, and Lowell Housing Authority. So you can call it really low income housing. And out of all of them, there is only they have only 1 car. There is only 1 car for which right in front of the unit, right here, there is a permitted parking under permit number 2556, which is being renewed every year. The other members of these two units, first floor and second floor, like I said, they are mainly low-income housing. They use public transportation, and public has not been really an issue for them. And same thing is going to happen to this third floor, the third unit, once it gets approved. All the three units, as you can see on the site plan, they have their own independent, individual two means of egress. One is in front, where this arrow is, and one is on the side. And these two stairwells basically have access to each floor independently and individually. So the means of egress, the two means of egress for all the floors is provided. Actually, these are existing units, the basement, which is utilities and so on and so forth, and the unit 1 and unit 2 are, have been occupied and currently occupied, and they have been used. And this is the third unit that the applicant is requesting to be converted into a third unit. The bedrooms are good size. You have a big kitchen. This is a kitchen, over 13.5 feet by 12 feet, over 12 feet. And there's pantry and the bathroom. A very conventional, I would say, 3-bedroom unit that a family probably with 2 children can easily occupy and use. We believe the proposal and this request not only is not determinant to the neighborhood or will have any adverse impact to the neighborhood. As I explained, parking is no issue. There is open space. And the other issue, the other variance which we are requesting, the minimum lot area is also existing non-conforming. Not only is that a determinant or has any adverse impact to the neighborhood, but also enables the owner to be able to make it a sustainable investment, to afford a mortgage, and hopefully be able to provide this low-income housing for the residents of the city. With that, I'll be more than happy to answer any questions.
Thank you, sir, for your summary of your project. Now we're going to open the hearing to the public. Anyone who speak in opposition? In opposition? In opposition? Seeing none, that part of the public hearing is closed. Anyone wishing to speak in favor of this petition?
I'll speak in favor.
Yeah, go ahead, ma'am. Your name and address for the record. Yeah.
Glavelinis Cruz, 30 Farnham Street, Lawrence. I'm Glavelinis Cruz, the daughter of Gladys Cruz, who's the owner of 732 Lawrence Street in Lowell. So thank you for giving us the opportunity to come before you today. As you know from Mr. Afshar's presentation, we are seeking to convert the existing 2-family into a 3-family dwelling. The property is located in a traditional mixed-use zone and zoning district. The project requires special permit approval from the planning board according to Article 12.1 for being able to have 3 dwellings on 1 lot. Additionally, this project is in need of approval from the Zoning Board of Appeals per Section 5.1 for relief from the minimum lot area per dwelling unit, the minimum usable open space per dwelling unit requirements, as well as per Section 6.1 for relief from the minimum off-street parking requirement, as well as any other relief required under the Lowell zoning ordinance. The purpose of this project, as Mr. Afshar has mentioned, is to continue to provide affordable housing in the city of Lowell, and in doing so, increase the strength and vibrancy of neighborhood where the property is located. The goal is to enable the tenants in the property to thrive in a community that is inclusive to all. As of the last census, the city of Lowell, as you may know, is the 5th most populous city of the state of Massachusetts and the 3rd most populous in the Boston metropolitan area. The city of Lowell houses about roughly 116,000 residents, you may correct me actually, in about 14.5 square miles. The city boasts a diverse population comprised of various ethnicities, including those who identify as non-Hispanic whites, Asian American, primarily Cambodian, African American, Hispanic, and Latino. So as you can imagine, the city has become home to immigrants from all over the world. The city continues to grow its population today. With exponential population growth also come growing edges. One of the direct challenges that come with the growth of a population and being able to provide equitable housing opportunities to all. A way to be able to mitigate the challenge of finding housing is allowing more opportunities for the creation of affordable housing. We know the importance of housing affordability to the residents and overall community of Lowell. For individuals, affordability means increased housing stability, reduced homelessness, improved health and educational outcomes, and greater economic opportunity and mobility. For the community, it means racial and ethnic diversity, which is very important to us, a local workforce, and a residential base with greater purchasing power to support the local economy. For the City Hall, it means greater tax revenue, which we like, right? And jobs through new development, less spending on public services, and greater political stability. As housing demand increases as a natural result of population growth within the City of Lowell, and the market for housing becomes more competitive, as it has in Lowell, as we know, housing rises in cost and becomes less and less affordable for its residents, consequently. As a way to mitigate this conundrum and address affordable housing, my mom is attempting to address this one property, one unit at a time. My mother's property currently has an unused and unoccupied third floor unit as displayed in the plan. And with your approval, we can continue moving forth to work on legalizing the unit to convert it into an apartment that may be offered to families within the affordable housing realm. Lowell is a complex city with a diversity of people and varied housing needs. There is no simple way to summarize all of the conditions without compromising individual experiences. Finally, housing is a fundamental need for all human beings. Shelter and housing are the first rung under the psychological needs section in Maslow's hierarchy of needs. As such, the purpose of my mom's project is to continue to facilitate the availability of affordable housing, continue to ensure building maintenance and safety standards, and continue to foster and support integrated neighborhoods in the City of Lowell. So thank you for your time.
Thank you, ma'am, for your comments. Very well put. Anyone else wish to speak in favor of this petition? Yeah, go ahead, sir. Yeah, go ahead.
Maybe on my age. We are scheduled to go before planning board next month for a special permit for having 3 units on one block. So
Okay.
6.1, section 6.
Thank you, sir. Anyone else wish to speak in favor of this petition? In favor, in favor, in favor. All right. Seeing none, public hearing is closed. We're going to question or comments to the board now. The chair organizes, Mr. Breer, the floor is yours, sir.
Mr. Chairman? Is it your intention to you're dealing Section 8 right now?
Correct. Yes, sir.
We're truly talking about affordable housing now.
Yes, sir, literally. So the first floor unit is currently occupied by tenants who receive subsidized housing through Community Teamwork, CTI. The second floor unit is currently through Lowell Housing.
And your intention is to seek another Section 8 voucher holder?
Su intención es continuar el tercer unidad con una persona con sección 8. Sí, claro. Yes, of course.
That has a lot of weight with me. I had some questions about the relief, so apprehensive about some of it. But this is a case where you truly are providing affordable housing. Everybody kicks that term around and they're using it improperly. There's a housing stock shortage.
Correct.
Right? And all the petitions that we see, very few address the affordable problem.
Definitely.
But your petition does.
Absolutely.
Tell me something, because I have an interest. I work with the housing authority. I worked in Section 8 for 20 years.
Great.
Tell me why you choose a Section 8 voucher holder when you could make so much more money on a market rate rental.
You're absolutely correct on that. So I think it hits home. I'm a Lawrence and bred. My family, this is my dad. We're always together. My dad, my brother, my mom and I.
If you have a seat, you want. It's up to you. It's up to you.
So my brother and I were raised in Lawrence. We actually come from a very modest background. My parents have been amazing parents. Clearly we're adults and we're still sticking around with the parents. So that should tell you something, right? But we were actually, in full disclosure, raised in the project. We were raised in the project. And my mom and my dad have worked really hard, when we were small to really, you know, make something out of our circumstance. I have to say they did a pretty darn good job. From being raised in the project and being a student in Lawrence Public Schools, I, you know, went on to high school in Methuen. I went to Presentation Mary Academy, which was now converted, it's now Notre Dame. From there, I went to Dartmouth College. I obtained my bachelor's in psychological and brain sciences. From there, I completed my pre-medical studies at Harvard. From there, I obtained my master's in professional psychology, and I currently hold a doctorate in clinical psychology. So you know what? My parents did a fantastic job raising us in the project.
Sure did.
I was able to purchase my first home about a year and a half after graduating from Dartmouth. I still hold that house. It's actually in Lawrence. It's a multifamily, which I also do rent to what's considered individuals who are subsidized by the government because it hits home. It absolutely hits home.
Your story is so admirable.
Thank you.
What you just said is absolutely wonderful. I'm glad I asked you the question.
Yeah.
So I'm still an employee of the Housing Authority.
Fantastic.
So I'm a real advocate for the population we serve. And so often, those folks who live in public housing or have a Section 8 house, there's a stigma attached to it, a negative stigma. And you're just a shining example of how false that is.
Absolutely. And I proudly say where I come from for that reason, because I love to create, as my role obviously as a professional, given what I do for a living, I do not, stigma is so deteriorating in many different levels. So the importance is to destigmatize. And something as basic as shelter and having housing, like I said, is the lowest rung of the Maslow's hierarchy of needs, and without having food, so food insecurity is a big deal in the city as well, without having safe shelter. So homelessness and housing insecurity is also a big deal in the city. Without having those basic needs, you cannot possibly thrive. There's no way. There's no need. There's just no possible way for you to be able to move up those rungs, right? So my mom, obviously I am my mother's daughter, and my mom has worked really hard, and this is one of many prospective properties that we wish to buy in the city of Lowell. I'm currently looking for one myself as well. And again, as you know, we're not going to make much money out of this. We will make money because it's a business. So in full disclosure, it's a business. Owning a multifamily home, you do make a little bit, but honestly, it goes back and you invested back in the property, invested in its tenants, invested in the city, which is the most important part.
Thank you for extending a hand to your community. It's desperately needed. And we need more folks such as yourself that aren't just there for profitability in real estate, but providing what you just said, basic necessities, which are so inspirational to a person. Look at your story. It was a pleasure speaking with you.
Thank you.
And whatever relief you need, I want to give it all to you. Absolutely. I'm not even going to talk about that. What a promising story. Congratulations, folks.
Thank you. Congrats to my parents. They've done all the hard work.
Thank you, Mr. Lee. Thank you, Mr. Lee. The chair recognizes Mr. Nixon. Mr. Nixon, the floor is yours, sir.
I don't really have many questions, just, I mean, I'm in the real estate business myself, so the fair housing, I'm a big advocate for that as well. So to hear that, you know, I've worked with different avenues of this and stuff like that, so hearing your story as well has been really interesting and great, and it's nice for you to share it. And I mean, people would share that type of a story, to be honest with you. So I thank you for that. But I like the idea of the whole project, especially I know that area. I have my uncle that lives right behind there in the senior housing behind you. So
Which are lovely people. So my mom purchased the home back in June 6th, is when she purchased this property. My mom has already been able to befriend some of the elderly individuals that live in the back, which is Lowell Housing, right?
Yep.
Lowell Housing is right behind. And those grounds are kept really nicely in pristine condition, actually.
Yeah.
They do a really good job, and they're great folks.
Yep.
Yeah.
Thank you, Mr. Nixon. The chair recognizes Mr. Propo. Propo, floor is yours, sir.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I echo Member Bria's sentiments. The good thing is that you being the last applicants tonight. You've heard all throughout the night that, it's a relative term to say affordable housing. And, you know, the question is, it's affordable to whom? And I think it's endemic of what you were proposing here. You know, it's the epitome of what making housing affordable versus affordable housing. So, I do appreciate your story and your efforts. I mean, there's many of us who you know, who may share similar stories of trying to do the right thing. I also appreciate the fact that you came full disclosure because the previous owner, you just bought this in June, and
My
the
mom
previous
just bought it
owner,
in June, yeah.
you know, made it into an illegal, and you were trying to set it right. So that's appreciated. I mean, you know, as far as parking spaces, the way the logistics are, I mean, there literally isn't any space for you to, you know, to put on there. I was scared just trying to park around there because I know how busy it is, people turning. But just given the fact of the amount of effort that you're taking, given the restrictions on you know, the variances that's needed, I mean, it may look like a lot of relief, but the way the house is built, I mean, there isn't much you can do. So, again, in my opinion, I think it would be a good project. It would help the neighborhood, and it would continue to help the city as you guys continue to do what you do.
I appreciate that. And addressing the parking situation, I understand that is an issue in the city. Like the gentleman said, you know, the housing is in the back. They have their own parking space, plenty of that. We have a firefighter station right across, directly across from the property. They do have, for good reason, specific spots marked for their trucks to come out, so that also limits the parking a little bit, but I think the fact that we have a fire station there outweighs those few spots that may be missing. And like Mr. Afshar said, my mom just also recently renewed the parking permit for that property. It's one parking spot allowed. It expires at the end of October. So actually just today, my mom renewed it as well. So, and that is her plan to continue to renew that annually.
I have nothing else.
Thank you, Mr. Fulton. The chair can answer Vice Chairman, Ms. Cowan, the floor is yours, sir.
Thank you, through you, Mr. Chairman. Thanks for the presentation. I appreciate the story. I understand how far with the situation. Just purchased a property that apparently was illegally converted as a three-family that shouldn't have been. And you brought up the parking, which was what I was going to bring up, because I've actually had phone calls, conversations with the people in the fire station who have repeatedly told me there are numerous problems with the tenants at that property, with the parking. There's a designated fire lane there, and it's continually breached by the tenants of the property. And it's that's a safety hazard. That's not just like neighborly thing. That's a safety hazard because the truck needs to.
Absolutely.
The truck needs to get in and get out. So, so I have that weighs heavily on me because of the safety issue. Because I understand, not taking anything against it. It shouldn't have been a third family to begin with. It is now, and I know you're trying to make right on it. But it's designated as a two-family now. There's two families next door everywhere. I don't know any other one that's a three-family or multi-family in there. And you're asking for a lot of relief to convert this. I mean, I'm just really kind of, I don't know where to go with this. It's like, I understand, trying to figure out where the hardship lies. The hardship, I understand, financially, possibly, yes. And you're trying to make, if there was a previous hardship, no, there was no previous hardship. It was converted illegally, and you're trying to make good. So it can go either that. For the public good, yes, add more affordable housing, additional unit, yes. That'll be good for the public good. Intent of zoning satisfied, that's a tough one for me because you're looking at a lot size of 3,000 square feet requiring 40, where in a TMU is required, 75,000 required in a TMU.
7,500.
7,500, sorry, thank you. 7,500 required in a TMU. 4,500 square feet of relief required. That's a lot, that's a big ask. Open space per dwelling unit requiring 750. You didn't even put what the open space, I didn't even see anything in the application. What's the open space that's provided?
It's over 1,300 square foot.
Open space?
Yes.
Okay, so we can check that off.
We don't need that, right?
The parking's a huge issue, and I understand. You have tenants there that don't regularly use vehicles. You're possibly gonna have new tenants coming in. I don't know what they're gonna have. They have a vehicle, they may not. You only have one designated parking spot. And from hearing the complaints that I've heard from firefighters across the street with continually breaching of the fire lane, that gives me extreme pause as to whether or not granting relief is gonna, if it's gonna change anything with regards to the intent of zoning. So, I'll listen to my other fellow board members, but this one is, I'm sorry, I'm just not seeing it. But, I'll listen to my other fellow board members, maybe I'll change my mind.
Yes, definitely. No, we definitely respect your comments, and my mother has spoken with some of the firefighters as well to listen to their concerns, which are very valid. The spaces where the fire trucks need in order to pull out are clearly marked. Now, if the tenants are violating that warrants a more extensive and longer conversation. But not only are they marked on the concrete, they're also little, what are those called?
They put barrels out, and I'm being told that the tenants there are repeatedly moving those barrels to park in the fire lane when they're told, when they're clearly told, they've been told numerous times not to. So I understand that would be as the landlord responsibility to make sure that happens. But if you're not there all the time, I mean, I don't know how else that's going to be monitored, but I've got to take that into account as far as whether or not.
I also wonder if there are visitors that are obviously inappropriately parking there, because in the entire dwelling, there's only one, the first floor unit tenant is the one that owns an SUV, and she parks right in front of the house is the only designated spot. So I'm wondering, I'm actually really curious to see who are the other individuals that are illegally parking in zones that they're not supposed to.
I wouldn't know. I mean, I've driven by and I know what they were talking, just to see what I know they were talking about, seeing the barrels, the clearly marked fire lane.
Yes.
And then, but I'm being told by many the firefighters over across that they have continual battles with the residents of that building about the parking there.
Okay.
And again, to me, that's a safety hazard. Because if the cars are there and that truck can't get out, a car may burn down and people may die. I mean, not a car, but a house may burn, people may die. It's just, that weighs very heavily on me and my decision. So, but I'll listen to my other fellow board members as to how they.
Thank you, Mr. Vice Chairman. Thank you, sir. I just wanted to add, even if we do approve this, if you want to put, administrative review, we could do that. Just throwing it out there, Mr. Vice Chairman.
Thank you.
The chair recognizes Mr. McCarthy. Mr. McCarthy, floor is yours, sir.
Chairman. Boy, oh boy. That's a lot of stuff. I disagree with your comment about the open space. So how do you measure open space? Do you know how zoning in Lowell measures open space?
We are not adding anything to the existing footprint at all.
But you don't meet the zoning requirement for usable open space for 3 units for the zoning criteria.
Yeah, but we have the open space in the back, and we have one space in the front, and the total area is over 1,300 square foot.
So I measured the back area per your site plan, and it's 30 by 31.
Yeah, which is.
And I believe.
Which is 900.
We measure the usable open space with a 5-foot setback from the property line. That would give you about 500 square feet that you can count towards usable open space. So you haven't done the calculation.
25.
That you need.
25 by,
20.
yeah, okay, 500 square foot. But then we have some area in the front also.
I don't know what you have in the front, because I know that you have some pavement, and I know that we have a setback in the front, Fran. I don't know what we can use in the front there, but
Right here, this is the area.
there's not much, right? So you haven't proved that you meet the usable open
6
space.
times.
But you're not following the criteria that we have in the zoning bylaws.
Okay, we could be, even if you do 5-foot setback, we could be short by probably 150 square foot.
I don't like the fact that you're coming asking for variances and you're using the word could. You're not being specific with what you're providing for us to make decisions, first of all.
We are providing 600 square foot.
But you don't prove it with the diagram showing useful open space for us to use. We're just taking word for it. It's not a way for an engineer to come before the board, in my opinion. Engineer coming before the board should have a document that states what you're providing and what relief you're looking for, in my opinion.
Well, the footprint is in front of us with the new dimensions and numbers, and we can simply deduct. Is it 5-foot setback for the open space?
For multifamily homes.
All around?
Mm-hmm.
So we can have.
Yeah, you probably don't have much in the front, and some of that's not open. That's a
We're asking for a variance anyway, so.
Well, so you're asking for a variance, well, according to what you stated to my fellow member here, Mr. Callahan, you said we have the open space provided, but you don't.
I stand corrected.
Okay, all right. And then we are looking for relief for 6 parking spaces based on a plan here that shows a 3rd floor unit. But the 3rd floor unit has partitions that go all the way out to the knee wall of the structure. So the 3rd floor unit is drawn as though it has 5-foot-high walls around the whole perimeter.
No, this is dead space.
All right.
This is dead space. Only, and the closet and the, where we go, we have the 5-foot, ceiling on, depending on the gable.
So that's not the way the house is constructed, though. It's got knee walls that go up about 2.5 feet on the most of it. So that plan doesn't represent what's built.
In this area, it does go. We do have the height in this area. Where we don't have areas, we do show a dead space. And this is all a stairwell here and a stairwell in front.
So what you're telling me is that somehow there was a building permit provided that raised the whole roof of the existing structure? Because the existing structure had knee walls when I saw it last. And your plan shows 5-foot-high exterior walls on that 3rd floor. Or are you suggesting that you're going to get a permit to raise the whole 3rd floor and provide all these rooms?
No, we are not raising the floor. This is based on what is existing right now.
I don't think so.
So they are the owner, you have,
Absolutely.
yeah.
I mean, I have not measured the floors, but they are representative of the same heights that are on the 1st and 2nd unit.
I agree with you. The 3rd floor unit is the one that's questioning.
Correct.
And the 3rd floor unit, according to what I've noticed, is not supporting 3 bedrooms with windows on that outside wall on the left, and not supporting.
So the first box that you see is the 1st bedroom. That has a window and 2 closets on the side.
I agree.
You walk out of that, there's an immediate living room area with 1 window.
Yep.
To the left of that is a bedroom with 1 window as well. You leave that left bedroom, towards the left, it's the kitchen area, also has 1 window and the pantry. Right on the left of that is the bathroom, also with a little window.
You mind if I stop you?
Absolutely.
So we understand there's dormers, but the exterior wall jets in, and you don't have a 5-foot-high exterior wall. And so I don't even know if you meet minimum standards for bedrooms. I guess, Fran, I just forgot to ask, do we know if the building inspector has been to this property, to the third floor, to see if this third floor unit is even,
I don't know that, but I do know that if the board chose to approve this, that it would be reviewed by the plans reviewer, building inspector, and they would ensure that they would not issue a permit to a development that doesn't meet the code.
I love your answer, but we're being pressured, I think, a little bit, at least I feel it, that we have an existing hardship, sort of, in that this is already constructed, and we should be looking to provide affordable housing for something that's already constructed. But I don't know if what's already constructed is occupiable. Because I don't know if the building inspector has been to this property to say, unlike Princeton Boulevard, right?
Yeah.
That this is,
If there were comments, then we would have sent them to you. I don't know the full history.
and like, why isn't this one requiring sprinkler system? Does it have a sprinkler system? I'm just kind of feeling like this one's not getting the same scrutiny that Princeton Boulevard got from the building department. You know what I mean? The illegal third floor unit on Princeton Boulevard
Yeah.
triggered a sprinkler system.
I hear you. I just don't have any control over the comments that they issue.
Well,
So,
I would suggest that, I would like to see this continued and for the building department to weigh in on whether this unit is, because it may be something that we, if the board were to approve, then you're set with $30,000-$50,000 bill to fix it, to make it occupiable. And I don't know if the intent of the board here is to, I mean, because we're hearing a hardship and affordable housing, but you don't meet a lot of criteria, and I think that it really thinks that you don't provide enough parking. I agree with you that Section 8 people sometimes don't have parking, but a lot of them do. And I know that from my experience, because I also own rental property and rent the Section 8. And I have most of the rental properties that they have cars. Not one, but sometimes more than one. So I know that when you change tenants, parking in the neighborhood is going to potentially be an issue
I
for the
will-
fire department or
I
whoever.
will say the only comment, or the only correspondence I received from, Joseph Caddy and Dylan was also, sent this. So Joseph, the engineer, he said, and I quote, "No comments after the request to add a third unit to the existing 2-unit property." So engineering has reviewed the submission with those comments, and documents were reviewed per this documentation that Joseph Caddy sent to Dylan.
I'd like to see it continued and to try to get a comment from the building commissioner to see if this unit is really there, based on the plan that we didn't even get submitted. That plan wasn't submitted to us, was it? I didn't see it in our packet.
What?
The floor plan for the third floor?
I don't know, I think it was there, I have a copy.
Yeah, it's
Oh, I'm
here,
sorry. I missed it. So my
Long
fault.
time ago.
And whether or not this is, so, anyway, I'd like to see it.
So I guess should we get, also have the applicant provide plans on the existing height of the units?
Yeah, because it just seems to me like, as an architect, that's not a believable plan from what I saw.
Did you go inside?
I did not,
Well,
because
did you go inside and pull out your tape measures to measure the height? We did, Mr. Chairman. We did do that. And this plan has been submitted more than a month ago.
And in fact, you know, if this warrants a field trip, we're more than happy, so that you can have some tangible evidence as well. Again, you know, I'd like for you to consider my mother's position. This mom bequeathed this thing, when she bought the property. It was already existing, and we're trying to maximize what's already there. But mom is more than happy to present to you and the rest of the board members the floor.
especially where this is, an illegal apartment that was built.
Correct, so we had no say to that, you know, and
That-
we're
that
trying
speaks
to,
me of someone hiding something.
That I
Maybe
cannot,
not.
I cannot speak to that, sir, because
Right.
my mother bought the property in June sixth of this year. But I totally understand what you're saying.
And-
And with that said, is why we are here before you, because we'd like
Oh,
to correct the situation.
I just want to have everyone's eyes open that this may not be a slam dunk, that you have someone living here with an occupancy permit that's granted tomorrow. Because this may require a sprinkler system, may require, dormers to be put in, may require other things.
So the
And-
building
and I-
commission in that case will deny the permit. This is not the last
Oh,
stop.
no, I understand, but, I mean, it might make more sense as is to be combined to the second floor unit and not be in front of us, and this is a two-family with a 5-bedroom unit on the second and third floor. I'm just saying.
4
it's an
bedrooms,
option.
sir. So the first and the second floors are 4 bedrooms each. They're 4-bedroom apartments, the first and the second. The third, we are hoping for a 3-bedroom apartment because that's how it stands currently.
That's a lot of cars.
I understand.
Can I
I
say,
understand.
may I say something, Chairman?
Mr. McCarthy has the floor right now, so are you done, Mr. McCarthy, or do you want?
I can't go forward with this tonight. I would have to say denied because too many guesses from my eyes right now. I'd like to see it continued and to try to get more information from the building department regarding this unit as to how legitimate it really is. And I would love to go in and see it with my own eyes to see if it really is, as you're saying.
I know it's what time, you know what time it is, 10 p.m. It's absolutely available as we speak. So we can actually go, it's literally just a few minutes from here as well.
Oye, mami, sería una pena que ellos tomen una decisión sin tener la prueba.
Mom says it would be a shame for you to make a decision feeling so uneasy about this. So my mom is more than happy for
Que a
you
mí
and the
me-
rest of the board
Me
members to see
gustaría
the
que ellos
property.
fueran a mandar a alguien a checarlo y que tomen una decisión mirándolo.
Mom says you or someone from the city can come and see it as well.
And I really am so, happy for your family for doing this for section of people. And, I would love to see this be successful.
Thank you. So we would also like you to be happy, so with the proposed plan.
I just feel that the plan does seem to have some open issues for me visually. And I don't know why we have a sprinkler system required on one 2-family to 3-family conversion and not on another as a question. As a question.
Thank you, Mr. McCarthy. Sir, you heard the comments of the board, ma'am, and again, to my colleagues' comments, I do also agree this is a great use of the property and, you know, the transition to the third, in trying to legalize it all and do it the right way and make it affordable housing, I think is great. You know, I do, so from my perspective, and I think from my colleagues' perspective, we want to approve this, we want to make sure everything is done right and correctly. So let's table this. We're going to continue the matter to make sure we get all the proper documentations and everything, all the updated plans, so that way everyone's on the same page with everything. Does that make sense to folks?
Oh, are you asking the board?
Asking the board, I'm asking the applicant, are we good? So we'll continue the matter?
I just want to make a comment regarding the parking. Right now, as it was mentioned, the current occupants, they have only one car. So if a visitor has parked on the striped area, no parking zone, fire department is a very powerful department. They can, I wonder why they don't tow the cars instead of being don't take any action about it, because that would teach a lesson to the person who parks. They treat at the shopping malls. And also, in this case, if you decide to approve this, you can make it a condition that there will be a deed restriction that they will use parking transportation. The third unit will use parking transportation, the new unit will use parking public transportation, sorry. The deed restriction. So they know beforehand that they have to use public transportation, and there is no room for parking. In terms of dead space, we were in there and we did measure.
You can't do that.
I don't think
Yeah.
the board doesn't have that power.
Yeah, you can't, yeah,
You can do, okay,
You
that's
can
fine,
advertise the listing with that, yeah.
at the condition.
We can't put deed restrictions on.
Okay.
We can't condition anything with a deed restriction. That's not within the board's purview.
Yeah.
We can't do it.
But
It's great thinking out of the box, but it's just not possible.
But the fire department should really, anyone parked in the strike zone area should really throw them away.
That's all well and good. I understand. You're probably right, but we're talking about situations, the fire department's out, they come back, they can't get the truck in because someone's parked there. They can't just call a tow truck and have the engine sit there idling, waiting to get pulled in while a tow truck comes. So I understand that. Great thinking outside the box, and I understand that purpose, but it's just being brought to the attention of the owners. If we do continue this, I would also, in addition to asking if the building commission can weigh in, I would also see if we can get comments from the fire department as to what they think about. So everybody's on board, so you know exactly what's being. You don't reside in the property, right?
We do not.
Yeah, so,
We do not.
I mean, I'm not sure if this is the first time we've heard that the fire department.
No, we go often to mow the lawn, trim, put plants, because my mom takes pride in her properties. And we have, introduced ourselves to the fire department just, about 2 weeks, or so after we bought the property. And they already recognize our faces, so, so having a
That's great.
conversation with them has not been an issue,
Okay.
and I don't foresee that to be an
Just
issue
want to make
either.
sure where everybody's on board so we know what's being done.
Absolutely.
In case like we weren't aware, like, oh, we just bought the property, we're not aware. We didn't know, it's our tenants are parking there. We'll let them know, but you're aware of the problems, you're aware of the issues, and we just want to make sure that everything on the board for that, because it can't continue.
Está diciendo que estamos al tanto de que el departamento de
You gotta do something
fuego
about your tenants.
se está quejando que los inquilinos
I'd still like to get
están
comments from the fire
donde van
department
el
on that
camión que se sale
situation.
por en frente.
Ms. Prokop, did you have a comment?
Oh, no, I just had a quick question. Did you know that there was an illegally, third apartment when you bought it, or you found out after?
Well, so you know that when you purchase properties, you do a walkthrough, there are open houses, then you do inspections. And I'm almost pretty certain that the third floor was being advertised as being part of the second floor. But as the diagrams show, they have two separate entryways. They have the way to exit the building. It has, so if you look at the city records, because I went to City Hall and I looked at the records, and there was plumbing permits and plumbing permits to create a sink in the kitchen area that were pulled. I don't have the exact year. It was a few years back. Plumbing, había un permiso de plomería para ese tercer. Oh, and a gas line. So it seems that there was a gas stove in that unit because there's a gas line that currently runs up to that kitchen, as well as a sink. It still does have a sink. There's a full functioning bathroom with a sink, a toilet, and also a bathtub there as well.
So it was listed as a two-family,
Correct.
okay.
Correct.
And
Correct. It was sold as a
And
two-family.
assessed as a two-family,
That is correct.
okay.
Correct.
So then the utilities were set up at one time and removed when pictures were taken and listed. So like when you went to the walkthrough and open house, there was no utilities up there as far as like a stove?
No, sir.
Okay,
There is a refrigerator. There's a refrigerator on that level. There's a refrigerator, and again, like I said, there's a sink. And behind the refrigerator, you can see that there's some lines. I'm assuming those are
Yeah.
gas lines. So, but it's like
so there was a refrigerator up there when you, with the walkthrough?
when Mom bought the property, and it's still there. The fridge is
Okay.
still there.
That can stay up there, yeah, it just can't be a stove.
There's no stove,
Yeah.
but there was a permit pulled a few years back. I saw on the city records.
It could have been added for heat though, they could have said it was,
Possibly,
Yeah.
possibly, absolutely. but that I don't know.
Yeah. No, of course not, yeah.
I think what Member McCarthy stated might be true, that we may need to have the building inspector, because when we get these applications, there's usually comments from, I know the engineer said he has no comments, but because of the dynamics of this building, it being an illegally third apartment, I think the building inspector we should have some comments from the building inspector.
Most definitely.
Are there ceilings pitched? Like, they go up and then they pitch? Because if it's not 5 feet, what they're trying to say is that it's no longer, there's a new, zoning and all that kind of stuff, like, that's no longer considered livable space. So that's what he's trying to say now, is that, so those rooms might not be considered livable if they're not 5 feet high. It used to be 4, but now it's 5. So if it's not 5, then those rooms won't be considered,
Sure. So
Yeah.
I think it's a valid point, Mr. McCarthy. I think it's a valid point. We should definitely have the city come in and take a look again at this, or take a look at what was already done by our engineer, and so that they can actually have tangible evidence and they can take remeasurements once again.
You don't need a closet, you just need a window and a door.
Right. Well, and like I said, the first room has a closet. The one on the left does not have a closet, and the other room does not have a closet, but the first one has 2 closets.
Yeah, you don't need a closet anymore, so.
And all the rooms have windows, and the living room, the kitchen, and the bathroom as well.
On the 3rd floor?
Correct, yeah, it's drawn to scale, and all of the structures that you see, all of the doors, they're actually physically there. Yes. Which I think is hard to believe if you're looking at the structure, at the face of the structure.
I'm looking at it on Google Maps right now.
Absolutely.
I mean, I'm seeing the 2, right in the front, the pitched roof, the 2 windows, that's the 3rd floor, I'm assuming.
Correct.
And I don't, where are the okay, I see there's dormers right there, okay, never mind. I missed the dormer, okay.
But that dormer isn't the whole length of the wall.
Yeah.
The dormer.
No, the dormer's like right there where the kitchen is.
But this-
Yeah. Anyways.
All right, any other comments from my colleagues before we continue the matter? Oh, Mr. Bear, go ahead, sir, floor is yours.
I just wanted to clarify, my earlier comments, but you spoke back to what I said. I hope I didn't I may have, so I want to correct the record. Okay, if I got caught up in my passion for housing and the emotion of your story, I also have to give serious consideration to the zoning and the requirements of zoning and ensuring for the safety of the residents that will occupy that. I want you to know that anything that I said is, I have no conflict with any other member of the board. We are all some of my colleagues before they spoke, the comments they made are totally appropriate. And they're great advice for you.
Most definitely.
So I want to say that when I started, I said I had issues with the zoning. And where I misspoke, I believe, was at the end when I said I would grant you any relief. And that's due to the emotion of your story. And that's not my job. I'm violating my oath if I just do that. So I just have to get on the record that I agree with the concerns that have been expressed here. Everything I said, I believe, but I may have stuck out my nose a little too much. So I want to get this right. All right, and my colleagues are here to ensure that happens.
I appreciate that, Mr. Beer. I used to be a voting member of the Lawrence Historical Commission. There is no voting that has taken place yet. I appreciate your comments, but I understand the nature of them and also the comments of the rest of the board members. I respect that as well. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Bear. All right, Mr. Giuliano, when's our next available, meeting?
November 8th previously.
November 27th, this would be the 6th and final lot.
Yeah. I'm sorry, what was the date again?
November 27th.
So we're gonna continue the matter, vote to continue the matter, November 27th. We're gonna get, the city to to go weigh in on the property, see if it's safe and appropriate and meets all the criteria, and then, we're also gonna get fire to weigh in on comments as well. Any other requests from my colleagues before we move forward with the vote to continue this?
I just want to say that typically when a property is sold, there are inspections that the city requires. And so those inspections may have already taken place with, fire and, occupancy permits. And they usually require those inspections in order to sell the property. But it would be the owner that would have that information, or it would be a conversation with the owner, not necessarily with the buyer.
And you're absolutely correct. So my understanding is that at the very least, fire needs to inspect the property prior to it being sold.
And it may have been inspected as a two-family with the third floor being part of the second floor unit, as a guess.
Well, it would actually, it might have shown up in a home inspection or not. Did you have a home inspection?
We did not. We
Okay,
waived the home inspection.
But it would show up in your appraisal.
Yeah.
So your appraisal would have
We
came
did
back.
have an appraisal,
So
absolutely.
you can get that in your appraisal, and
My
then-
mom has a copy of the appraisal.
So it should show up in your appraisal, and then if you obviously have to get a CO certificate. So you passed your smoke. So you passed your fire inspection.
Right, but it may have been inspected as a
It would have been as a two. It was listed on MLS as
third
a two.
floor being part of the second floor.
Correct.
So that's why it's important to have the building weigh in on whether or not this converted to a three-family is something
Because
easily done.
usually the appraisal would actually flag it down to the city that it wasn't
Right.
illegal, which I'm
That
surprised it
makes
didn't.
sense, Fran.
Yes.
All right. Can we have a motion, please?
Mr. Chairman, I'd like to make a motion for, CBA 2022-29 for variances at 730 and 732 Lawrence Street to be continued to November 27th.
Motion by Mr. McCarthy, second by, Mr. Can you roll call, please?
Chairman Peck,
Approve continuance to November 27th.
Member Callahan,
Approve continuance to November 27, 2023.
Member McCarthy,
Approve continuance to November 27th.
Member Briere, Member Prokop,
Approve continuance to November 27th, 2023.
Member Nick.
All right, you've been approved for continuance. We'll see you November 27th, okay? Thank you for saying late. I know it's late night. Thank you, folks. We appreciate it. Hopefully it won't be this late next time.
And should be in the chambers.
And it should be in the regular city hall chambers, city council chambers.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you again, yes. Thank you again for coming. Thank you for being patient. All right, another business. We have elections of officers. What's the wish of the board? The positions up for election is chairman, vice chairman, and clerk. Is there a nomination for any of those?
Mr. Chairman, I'd like to nominate Dan Peck as chairman.
All right. Motion by Mr. McCarthy to nominate Van Peck as chairman.
Second.
Second by Sean Callahan. Can we roll call, please?
Hold on a second. Chairman Peck,
Approve Van Peck as chairman.
Member Callahan,
I'd like Van Peck as chairman of the Lowell Zoning Board of Appeals.
Member McCarthy,
Re-elect Dan Peck as chairman.
Member Briere,
Van Peck, Chairman.
Member Prokop,
Re-elect Van Peck, Chairman.
Member Nickerson,
Re-elect Van Peck, Chairman.
Approved Van Peck as chairman. Thank you all again for your support. I know it's been a rough year for me personally, so I appreciate that, and hopefully, I don't always expect to be just automatically elected as chairman. So hopefully, I've gained your trust and your respect over the years. I know my colleagues to my right here have been with me over a decade, and Mr. Briere has been here with me for several years, and you too, Mr. Prokop and Mr. Nixon. So I don't always expect for you just to automatically vote for me as chairman. So I really appreciate, and it's really been a privilege and honor to serve with all you folks. I know it's not always easy, so I know the work you guys all put into this, and thank you again for trusting me to be the chair again this year. So thank you all. All right, next nomination for the vice chairman. I want to nominate Sean Callahan as vice chairman.
Second it.
All right, can we roll call, please?
Chairman Peck,
Reelect, Sean Callahan as vice chairman.
Member Callahan,
Reelect Sean Callahan as vice chairman.
Member McCarthy,
Re-elect Sean Callahan as vice chair.
Member Briere,
Sean Callahan, Vice Chair.
Member Provost,
Re-elect Member Callahan as vice chair.
Member Nickerson.
Re-elect Sean Callahan, vice chair.
Yes.
Congratulations, Mr. Vice Chairman.
Thank you very much, Mr. Chairman. Thank you, all the members of the board. I really appreciate, all the hard work that we do, and looking forward to another fun-filled year. This one's been full of great ones, and I love to serve. I love working with all of you, and I love serving on the board. I do. I love it. I do. So, but thank you again for, I appreciate it.
Thank you, Mr. Callahan. And now we have the, position of clerk.
Nominate Dennis McCarthy as clerk.
I'll second that. Can we roll call, please?
Can I just ask, are there any other nominees?
Is there any other nominees for clerk then? Seeing none?
Seeing none.
All right, roll call, please.
Chairman Peck,
Reelect, Dennis McCarthy as clerk.
Member Callahan,
Reelect Dennis McCarthy as clerk of the Lowell Zoning Board of Appeals.
Member McCarthy,
Accept re-election as clerk of the zoning board.
Member Briere,
McCarthy, Clerk.
Member Provost,
Re-elect Member McCarthy.
Member Nickerson.
Re-elect Mr. McCarthy.
Approved.
Yes,
You-
Mr. McCarthy.
You've been reelected.
Well, thank you.
Thank you,
To
Mr.
have your support means a lot to me, and I hope I will be able to get to those I lost this year. Fulfill that promise that I made.
All right.
And the administrative,
All right. Congratulations to all the officers, new elected officers. Now, the last business is minutes for approval for September 25th. Is there any edits, adjustments, comments? Seeing none by my colleagues, can I have a motion to approve the minutes for September 25th?
Please, Mr. Chairman, I'd like to make a motion to approve meeting minutes of September 25th.
Second.
Second, motion by Mr. McCarthy, second by Mr. Folkov. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, say nay. The ayes have it. The minutes have been approved. If there's no other comments, we'll have a motion to adjourn. Seeing none, Mr. McCarthy, can I have a motion to adjourn, please?
Actually, I just want to
No.
mention, I will not be able to make the next meeting, so I will be out again.
Thank you.
Thank you for your support as chair.
No, already reelected, you already.
I was gonna say, yeah, right?
You already going on vacation, right?
I'd like to make a motion to adjourn.
Motion by Mr. McCarthy to adjourn. Second by Mr. Prokop. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, say nay. The ayes have it. We are adjourned. Thank you. Have a good night, folks.
Thank you.